live.
Is that Stranger Things music? believe so.
Where you at, Shotty?
Good shot. Turn down the bitrate of the voice channel.
What's that?
Turn down the bitrate of the voice channel. Go into the settings and turn down the bitrate.
Okay, are you getting a little bit laggy?
Pardon? Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yes, it
I'll
is.
put it to 64.
It's already at 64.
It was at 96, I think.
Oh, bloody hell.
Okay, so everybody, welcome. We have some new guests on the air. We have Calder C. He's
AKA Tom. What's his name? Tom. Oh, you gone? Shit, I was trying to remember that kid rapper from the UK. What was his name?
You mean Little T?
Little T. Is he the one that was like walking up the street singing about smoking a cigarette or something?
Most likely. He's a Blackpool grime artist.
Right, I've heard of that before. What the hell is that grime shit?
Grime is a interesting, almost new era of rap music in England. It was originally started in London in the 90s as sort of like a new musical movement as such. It was commonly quite active and big inside a lot of council estates where like low income areas of London. That's all I know about it. I'm not actually a fan of grime myself.
Oh, nice. Hold on, we're getting some feedback from the audience here.
Oh, I got it. It's Smithy Boy. Smithy Boy.
Oh, I know who you're on about.
Yeah, you're gonna be the right-wing Smithy Boy.
I really hope not.
So, okay, we got some feedback from the audience about the audio. So one fag sounds fantastic while the other's like, well, am I the one fag that sounds fantastic? Mad Mook?
It sounds fine to me.
Are you listening to the stream?
No.
Oh, well, let's see if we can maybe get this sorted out here. Sorry, guys. I apologize for the delay. Okay, so I'm the fag that sounds alright, and then the rest of the people don't. Let's see. Maybe, hold on. Can you guys say something?
Hello.
Okay, yeah, I think I got the problem. Yeah, there was we had two audio sources. That should fix it now. Okay, so yeah, I was streaming my desktop audio on top of my microphone. That's probably what gave it that echo effect. All right, welcome everybody again. We're bringing you another Mandala episode. We've got some very interesting talking points and new people on the show. As always, bringing you a banter-packed infogasm of esoterics, politics, counterculture, and an evening of whimsical philosophizing with your friends about the really important things. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. We're trying to do something important here with, and I've seen like little indications from especially some of my friends on Facebook who are really open to the ideas of that we got going on here, and it would be great to see this kind of proliferate and kind of change the momentum of people's thinking and open them to some new ideas. So, had someone who was gonna hop on here and see what's going on with her. Anyway, so let's go over our first thing.
Are you gonna get Boost in here?
No. Just
get started then.
Actually, she might hop on, but so she might hop on at some point, but I don't know what the hell's going on with her. All right, so yes, let's get started. We have. Let me repeat, or I'll re-put in my talking points for you guys, so you don't have to scroll up.
For the British rap.
Alright, so I was listening, I forget to some podcast, it might have been JF or someone else, but they were talking about how to argue with people and how to talk to your friends about these kind of ideas, which I think is important. People should be doing that. And there's kind of like an old term. there's kind of an old term that they used to use on chans called troll jujitsu. You guys, you remember that, IXI?
Yeah, I remember that term from 2016.
Yeah, so basically, like, it's when, first of all, you have to be right, you don't really have to be right, but you have to have a stronger kind of idea than the other person. And you kind of jujitsu them in the sense that, hold on a second.
Well, you have to be right in order to keep your victory, because that's the whole thing. That if your thing is not grounded in truth, at least as much as everybody knows it to be truth, then, it's eventually going to die.
Right.
Your argument will die, your position will die, like, it'll fall apart at some point.
Yeah, so...
If you do not have the skill to be able to form a good argument, then you're never going to be able to get anywhere inside of politics, and that's just a fact. If you're not able to have a question or a debate question come towards you, if you're not able to give a solid answer back, then you're just not going to succeed, and that's just plain fact, really.
Right, and by the way, this is Calder. He is probably the wokest 13-year-old that I've ever heard. He's a new guest on the podcast. I'll be showing you guys his a link to his Discord server and his YouTube channel in the description here. So yeah, so like when that's important. You have to be able to have that that ability to kind of think outside the box, and I think that's kind of like something that attracts people in the alt-right or just in general from like what's happened from on YouTube and all the conspiracy stuff that was popular for a while and New Age stuff, kind of gave people more venues to think. And your generation, Calder, you don't remember like when it was just you had the TV. You had the encyclopedia. I remember, maybe I'm young enough to remember having an encyclopedia salesman come into my house, and now that idea just seems like so ridiculous because I have an encyclopedia in my fucking pocket, and it's.
I will be honest with you. I believe that the internet is a very good thing.
Yeah.
It's provided me with what I want to do as a career. It's provided me with a lot of friends and things like that. But I do believe that sometimes, maybe going back to what life was like without it is almost good. I've actually been doing an experiment for myself. I've been using a Nokia phone, so not an internet connected phone,
right,
for a month, and it really does change your perspective on, like you said, an encyclopedia in your phone. If I want to learn something on the go, I'm not going to be able to have that. So having phones can be negative in the sense of being antisocial, which doesn't change for me anyway, but whatever. But also just overall, it's easier to just Google something on your phone than get out a massive encyclopedia and have to look through it. And that's just how the world has developed. And we can't backtrack now.
Right.
I think that it's good to have both. The internet is basically the path to the singularity, at least in the sense that Shakti and I talk about it. However, I think it's important to also know the animal self. That's why I encourage on pretty much every other stream, people do spirit runs or whatever they got to do to get out into nature and just sort of tap into your own like evolution. Tap into your own sensories, and just kind of live like that. Like have an animal experience, have a forest experience or a desert experience, and then come back to technology and, let it sort of take the reins. It's almost like passing the torch, It's like nature's passing the torch to technology, and the inevitable future is that nature will be behind technology.
I actually see that one of our points on here, one of our first one, is actually British knife crime. So I actually have quite a lot to say about that, and definitely when it comes to social media. So
okay, what we usually do is we go half and half with talking about kind of woo esoteric stuff, and then we kind of segue into politics. So we'll be sure to get to that. I want to go back to what we were talking about. they were first talking about troll jujitsu. So people are talking about how to make your argument with people, and how to influence people. And I just like I think I've read this before on air, but this is one of the things that even Alex says he likes it. When I go to an old book, and people are not really aware of like how much wisdom that there is in these old esoteric texts, old religious texts, whatever they might be. I hate the term religion so much with a passion, just because it has such a negative or weird connotation. But I'd rather use the term like maybe we call it like a wisdom or knowledge tradition. So you have a lot in the West. In the one that I'm going to read is from the tradition of Hermeticism. You have like the kind of hermetic alchemists that were doing their thing back in the day. People thought that they were just trying to make gold, and of course that was ostensibly what they're doing. But the hidden meaning to the metaphor of turning lead into gold was actually building what the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn refers to, and what Crowley refers to as the holy guardian angel, kind of like transforming the soul into gold and not just a physical thing. So anyway, this quote relates to a lot to what we're talking about how to argue with people, how to give your message, troll jujitsu, and how to be an influential mind when it comes to spreading this new zeitgeist that's taking over largely like through the social media and the internet. So I'm going to read from this quote. Let's see, how far should I go in here? I'll start from this part. Okay. Persons who can give continued attention and thought to a subject actively employ both of the mental principles, the feminine in the work of active mental generation, and the masculine will in stimulating and energizing the creative portion of the mind. The majority of persons really employ the masculine principle but little, and are content to live according to the thoughts and ideas instilled to the me from the I of other minds. But it is not our purpose to dwell upon this phase of our subject, which may be studied at from any good textbook upon psychology, with the key that we have given you regarding mental gender. The student of psychic phenomena is aware of the wonderful phenomena classified under the head of telepathy, thought transference, mental influence, suggestion, hypnotism, etc. Many have sought for an explanation of these varied phases of phenomena under the theories of the various dual mind, quote-unquote, teachers. So I think they're referring here to like the unconscious and conscious minds. And in a measure they're right, for there is clearly a manifestation of two distinct phases of mental activity. But if such students will consider these dual minds in light of the Hermetic teachings regarding vibrations and mental gender, they will see that the long-sought-for key is at hand. In the phenomena of telepathy, it is seen how the vibratory energy of the masculine principle is projected towards the feminine principle of another person, and the latter takes the seed thought and allows it to develop into maturity. In the same way suggestion and hypnotism operates, the masculine principle of the person giving the suggestions directs the stream of vibratory energy or willpower towards the feminine principle of the other person, and the latter, accepting it, makes it its own and acts accordingly. And thinks accordingly. An idea thus lodged in the mind of another person grows and develops, and as time is regarded as the rightful mental offspring of the individual, whereas it is reality like the cuckoo's egg placed in the sparrow's nest, where it destroys the rightful offspring and makes itself at home. So yeah, you're being mind cucked by a lot of stronger people that don't have your interest in your mind, and now we have to do the mind cucking for the normies. So the normal method is for the masculine and feminine principles in a person's mind to coordinate and act harmoniously in conjunction with each other, but unfortunately the masculine principle in the average person is too lazy to act. The display of willpower is too slight, and the consequence is that such persons are ruled almost entirely by the minds and wills of other persons, whom they allow to do their thinking and willing for them. How few original thoughts or original actions are performed by the average person? Are not the majority of people mere shadows and echoes of others, having stronger wills or minds than themselves? The trouble is that the average person dwells almost together in his quote-unquote me consciousness and does not realize there's such a thing as a quote-unquote I. He is polarized in his feminine principle of mind, and the masculine principle, in which is lodged the will, is allowed to remain inactive and not employed. The strong men and women of the world invariably manifest the masculine principle of will, and their strength depends materially upon this fact. And instead of living upon the impressions made upon their minds by others, they dominate their own minds by their will, obtaining the key kind of mental images or memes desired, and moreover dominate the minds of others likewise in the same manner. Look at the strong people, how they manage to implant their seed thoughts in the minds and masses of the people, thus causing the latter to think thoughts in accordance with the desires and wills of the strong individuals. This is why the masses of people are such sheep-like creatures, never originating an idea of their own nor using their own powers of mental activity. Sounds like we have an entire generation of these people. They're called boomers, right?
Yep, basically.
Boomers did nothing wrong.
You said you wanted to mention something about your knife laws.
Yeah, we have that set up as a talking point, but let's kind of like pound through.
Right. Cholo Jiu-Jitsu first.
Yeah, we're gonna go through a little bit of woo-woo stuff first. And by the way, I'd like to introduce Jen. Are you there?
Hi, everybody.
This
Hello.
is my friend from Facebook, and she is interested in, I guess she's kind of alt singularity going on the same kind of esoteric and political kind of bent that we're on. So I
Is she the first female we've had on here? I think she is.
No, I think we had Mizzy one time, didn't we?
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, since
I don't know. I
she's
mean,
not
Shakti's
around-
on here every week. So.
Got him.
I was gonna say we need a Benny Gesserit, so this
Right.
she can be our Benny Gesserit.
Right on, cool. I'm all about this stuff. So a little bit about me, I guess. So I guess I'm just meeting you guys. I used to teach Hinduism and Buddhism, and I was a meditation instructor, and I've always been an obsessive theologian. So this is a huge autistic area of interest for me, and then correlating that into the world. So a lot of what you were just reading made perfect sense
for me.
Oh, I mean, I use that term very, very loosely. I just mean
No, I'm not asking how you use it. I'm asking, may you define your statement.
Oh, I simply mean almost obsessive to the point where it's almost that of an idiot savant, if you will. So it was a tongue-in-cheek joke at myself.
Are you assuming that people with autism are quote-unquote stupid?
I don't think she said that, man. It's just a meme, bro. Come on.
May I?
No.
I don't know. I go on 4chan a lot. So.
There's a pretty dumbass people. Anyway, yeah, can you go ahead and continue with what you were talking about, Jen?
I'm just making a statement in saying that autism scientifically has been proven to make people a lot smarter. So
that's actually what I was going with there.
Yeah, do be careful using that statement.
I really don't curve my tongue really at all. I just say how things come out of my mouth, but I did not mean that in any form of insulting way. Actually, I used it in generally when I use the word autism. I do note that there is indeed a brilliance for people who do have genuine autism. Things that they are able to accomplish things that a lot of people who would be quote unquote considered normal, for lack of a better term, right now. Cannot do, such as masterful paintings or figuring out advanced math and geometry and things like that. There's the idiot savants.
But I don't have autism and I can do advanced math.
Okay. We don't need to discuss what autism is. I think we had a little bit of a misunderstanding.
Look, I am very familiar with this topic of autism, and I can tell you it's not a road we want to go down.
Okay, well, Calder C just left the call. I don't know what that was about, but okay. Anyway,
that sucks. This was that was really cool to hear. We had the Smithy Boy, but alt Smithy Boy versus the new person. This. Yeah. We need to get him back.
Well, let's see if we can reason with him here. Oh, he left the Discord server. He's offline. Well, okay, that was.
Did I?
Well, the British government realized what he was on. You see, so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He
just got arrested.
He didn't have a license for it.
That's it. I brought up pencil licenses, and he never said that he had one.
Called his
so maybe he got arrested. Maybe I accidentally got him arrested.
God damn it, AX.
I'm willing to like eat this right now and say I said autism and it like upset someone.
No, that was a little bit autistic of a reaction. I don't know why that was such a big deal. Anyway.
So to be clear, the fight was Smithy Boy versus the yoga instructor, right?
I don't know what just happened there. That was ridiculous.
I kind of zoned out like I always do.
Okay, well, I guess he got butter for some reason. Anyway,
before that debate occurred, you were telling us, Jen, that you do what again? You teach.
Oh, I used to teach Buddhism and Hinduism, and I used to work in like different metaphysical shops with like crystals and things like that, so on and so forth. And part of my job would be to teach about religion, and then the other part would be like to sell these things like that. And then there would be people that would come in and they'd be like, I'm having visions of past lives, or I feel like I'm being haunted, or how do I open my chakras? And so part of my job was to teach about the occult and how to help people utilize themselves and how to bring themselves to higher awareness. So this is something that I've done for like years.
Voodoo.
Oh yeah, but you'll have to know that this is a alt new age channel, and we don't have chakras. We have alt chakras.
Yeah.
What are alt chakras?
They're chakras that don't take shit from liberals.
Click.
Now that's something I can get behind, goddammit.
All right, so let's back on topic. All right, so what I was saying, I think you were going to comment on what I was just reading, Jen, weren't you?
Yeah, that whole autism fucking shit just threw me off.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, masculine and the mental cucking, basically, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, some of what you were talking about had to do with like the male and the female mind, which I found very interesting. Because in Eastern lore, they talk about what is it, Prakriti and Purush. Prakriti being like the female energy and mental state, and then Purush being the male, and how that is supposed to balance both between like two souls and within your own mind, or else there can be different imbalances in persona and even physically in the body if that's not manifested.
It's like consciousness and energy, Prakriti and Purusha. Like it's like a Shiva and Shakti. It's like a consciousness and energy, and I think that's kind of what he's like describing here in terms of masculine and feminine mind. But anyway, as it relates to troll jujitsu, like. This is what we're dealing with here when we're dealing with this, and especially now that, and I always talk about this, about how communication has changed and become so strong in the way that we're able to. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh no! I think it cut out while you were talking, so I only heard like half the sentence.
Oh, okay. Let me try to get closer to my mic. So yeah, what I was saying that this I think is really important, relates to what we're doing and what's going on right now in the digital age. And I always say this, it's like communication has connected people in such a way that this comes into play more about how about minds influence one another. You know, you have the whole like thing about podcasts and internet blood sports and you know, the e-celeb drama and stuff like this, and people becoming big fans of people like Styx and JF and these kind of people, because they have something. Their mind is I don't want to use the term strong, but they have a certain access to something inside of their mind, not just being intelligent, but they have a certain access to their unconscious mind. That gives them almost like a symbolic presence or an archetypal presence, like in a Jungian sense. Like they embody a certain archetype that people resonate with, that they like to see, they like to hear them, they could get, you know, whatever information that person is saying from wherever, but for some reason these personalities tend to become. And I'm going to agree with Medicare that anybody who actually uses the term influencer is a fucking faggot. So I'm pretty faggy for using that term influencer, but I'm just going to use it one time. So yeah, people...
we already knew you were pretty faggy, man.
Yeah, we already knew that. But yeah, so I'm going to use it one time to say that these people who become influencers, they have something more going on in their mind than just being intelligent. And that's what this was talking about. So... by the way that that communication has changed so rapidly. And I've compared it before, like in the past, like when the Gutenberg press was invented, like, okay, sure, yeah, you could go and books were more widely available. But if you wanted to communicate, the overall communities of communication of ideas, which shape like the zeitgeist that go around in society, were much slower. Like you had the the intellectual circles and stuff in universities, or people who are thinking about the problems of their time and just what they were dealing with at the time. They had to physically be next to each other. They had to read a book, so it was a lot slower method of like kind of wiring our minds together. And that's, I think, what IXI was talking about in the beginning when we were talking about how we talk about the singularity. And so now you have it so that you have all these strong influencers who have this connection inside of their mind that's able to tap into the trends that are going on now that make them interesting and people follow them. So when you're trying to take this and also bring it into the world and not be a mental cuck like boomers are, and like the media has controlled them in the schools, and they just can't possibly imagine anything other than these ideas that have been impregnated into their mind that aren't even their own.
But to be fair, and where I work, I do work with a lot of boomers.
Well, you are a boomer, Alex.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But I work with a lot of boomers and shit, and more fucking, they're waking up. They're like, this one guy I knew always talked about CNN. Now he can't even fucking turn that shit on.
Yeah, this is changing.
Yeah, but he didn't just like go to the other end, right? Like he didn't stop talking about CNN to start talking about Glenn Beck or some shit. Right?
No. He they're starting to watch more independent media, like on YouTube and shit.
You should get him into the alt new age.
Yeah, man.
Tell him that our Organite comes with wokeness crystals.
Yeah, tell them about orbs.
I don't know what the fuck orbs are. I just come here to shitpost.
Yeah, well, it's good. That's good. There's like I was talking to IXI, like certain podcasts, like I see the split between like Worski and JF. I've seen this, like there's one meme that I saw a long time ago, and it had like it was a political chart, and it was like the axis was informative, banter, and then like butthurt and like dumb or something like that. So it's like on one side there were people, and it was like a rating of different countries. Like it had a bunch of different flags. So which people from which countries on 4chan are more informative? Which ones are more
and on the all the way right up was United States, and all the way to the right bottom was Australia, because they are informative and they are the best shit.
Yeah, you've seen that meme before, yeah. So
I have it saved somewhere.
Well, I know we all have everything saved fucking in our fucking 8 zillion meme catalog, I'm sure, on our hard drive or whatever. But that's how I see the split between Worski and JF. JF went with like the informative like thing, and Worski went with the bants, and he's not even good at bants, and I hate that.
Because look, and this is the only time I watch any of them is for the blood sport clips. He knows where the money's at. He's gonna go to where the money's at.
Who? JF?
No, Worski.
Worski doesn't know where the fucking money is. What are you talking about? He just fucking.
He always has the big confrontations.
Well, he had the big confrontations because of JF being there, who wanted to have Richard Spencer versus Brittany Venti type stuff.
That's and then what blew it up.
Wanted more like, let's talk about weed LMAO.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, you're good.
Like I said, I don't watch them a lot, but just from what I've seen, that's what it looked like.
No, it was the other way. JF was the one that wanted the big name debates, but Worski didn't like it because he felt like he couldn't really participate in it because he didn't really have any interest.
No, Worski's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's
like he wanted. Where it changed is when they were talking about the cocaine stuff with Big Alaska. After that, things really started to spiral in a weird direction, and I feel like at that point he kind of just wanted to do more of the sort of party-ish, normie-ish type stuff, and JF wanted to exclusively do the sort of big alt-right subjects.
What, did they split then?
Yeah, they split.
Oh, you didn't see that? They were all like, they're like almost crying, and
yeah, it was
really emotional. You know, live on air, live breakup. Yeah, bro, it was so fucked up. I did not expect that when I was watching the stream. He's just like, okay, I think there is nothing left here for us, and I am leaving this show. But he was saying on his stream that he's the one that organizes everything. He does everything behind the scenes and shit. So he's in tune with what's going on more than I think. Maybe Worski appeals to like a type of audience that watches fucking Ice Poseidon for some. I don't know why people watch that guy. But he has like 50.
I legitimately had no idea who that fucker was. Until recently.
Yeah, what the fuck does he
Until all the cocaine shit and all that.
Yeah, I don't even know what he does. Like, I seen him today. He had a stream with like 50,000 people watching, and he's like shooting people with paintballs or something. Like, okay, what am I fucking like?
I think he's just one of those real life. He just streams his entire life, which I don't know why the fuck you would want to do that. But.
Why would you want to watch it? I don't know. Like, am I 15 now? Like, I'm watching a stream with some guy like shooting people with paintballs. Awesome. That's
great.
Like,
man, you know, and that's the thing about these kids. They don't know how to fucking live. They don't know how to have fucking fun.
Yeah.
They grew up in front of a fucking phone or in front of a TV or a computer. Which, you know, our generation was in front of the TV, but you know, we still went outside and shit. A lot.
Oh, yeah.
And these kids, they don't know how to live a life, so they're watching these older people living life. It just gives me a fucking migraine because, you know, I have a nephew and he watches shit like this, and I'm like, I'm going to end up beating your ass, boy, because go outside, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, no. We were talking a little bit about that with our butthurt English friend. Yeah, I don't get why people really pay attention to that.
Yeah, Jen, you like abused a 13-year-old.
Yeah, god damn it.
He was 13?
Is that like the yogi? Yeah, you made him cry. Like you traumatized a 13-year-old. A 13-year-old British kid. Remember, that counts as like a 5-year-old by American standards.
I was calling myself names.
I know those. Okay. Anyway, so yeah,
he's literally wearing eyeliner and listening to Chemical Romance.
So
I was literally actually complimenting autistic people and the fact that they have brilliant.
Okay, look, you gotta understand. On the spectrum, the further you are, the further you just don't understand.
Yeah, so...
And somebody's even trying to be nice to you.
Yeah.
You know, it could be the other way, too. Maybe, like, you left a positive impression. Maybe he's, like, gonna go try yoga now.
He's killing himself.
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna go with the idea that the police found out that he was on the...
He's fighting a spoon and he's
I
trying
don't think
to
yoga's legal.
Yeah. He's getting swatted right now for being on this stream.
I don't know if yoga's legal in the UK. Like, what if you like choke someone with the yoga mat? It would be it's a weapon.
It's too bad because I had some interesting. I wanted to talk to him about the state of affairs in the UK, but okay. So let's get back on topic here. I think that Worski is not chasing the money necessarily. He's just an idiot, and he needs people to run his stuff for him. And JF did that, and. Now he lost a lot of followers, and JF is going on being, like I said, one of these people who you're interested to listen to just because of the way that his mind works, the way that his mind's integrated. And
his channel is now higher production value than Worski's was when he left. Like, now his stuff is starting to look like the Rubin Report. Like, JF is on his way there.
Yeah,
but he kept his roots. I like that he kept this sort of, like... background and everything. He understands how he's branded and what people want to see with him.
Yeah.
So he didn't overdo the set. Instead, what he did is he did a lot of improvements on graphics and on overall presentation. And I think his is going to be the one that succeeds, and I think Worski's is going to be the one that fails ultimately because the big debates are going to go to JF because he's not afraid of it.
As a member of the...
The thing we know for certain is that there will be a Medicare video in about 6 months about this shit.
Oh, I think he already did one, didn't he?
I don't fucking know.
He did several.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
were, like, having their fit. I mean, immediately after they broke up, he did his first Edocast, and it was up for like 5 hours.
That was a good. I like that. That was funny. I don't know who the fuck that Queen of Pole or whatever, King of Pole now. I guess because he's gay. I had no idea who that was. But
I literally have no idea who any of these people are.
It's basically think of it as like the Jerry Springer circle of YouTube, but instead of
well avoided then.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing is, imagine if Jerry Springer wasn't about like cousins fucking and then admitting it on stage, but imagine if it instead was Richard Spencer debating with Sargon. But with the same amount of yelling and cursing. That's basically what it is.
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of autistic screeching.
But I do like the direction that JF is taking it in with I like the direction that he's taking it in with actually having interesting intellectual discussions. That's what I want to watch. I don't want to watch fucking some retards on Kumite fucking screeching.
Yeah, I might actually
Jerry Springer.
subscribe to JF.
Yeah, intellectual Jerry Springer. That's a good way.
The little bit I've seen of him. Because, like I said, I never really got too big into the blood sports or nothing. But, the little bit I've seen of him, he is somebody good to watch and listen to.
Yeah, he's an influencer. As a member that you were saying about predicting that he was gonna do well, as a secret chief and a member of the Novus Illuminati, he is. I'm going to make sure that I activate my chakras and push forward my mimetic energy to make him into a star.
Yeah. Voodoo juju. Yeah.
All right, so troll jutsu.
You're into voodoo stuff. I mean,
yeah. Did you say you wanted to talk about some voodoo shit?
Yeah. Voodoo is like.
No, not you. It's like Alex Jones. What was the voodoo shit you wanted to talk about?
I don't know what the fuck it's called, but I was reading up a little bit on it, but I'm like, I know somebody who knows this stuff. And
oh, you're talking about actual like voodoo?
No, not voodoo. The shit you do. your magic juju or whatever. I don't fucking know what it is.
My magic juice. Look, magic juice.
Organite infused with alt-right energies is not voodoo.
Yeah, we're gonna make organite swastikas. you gotta sell some organite swastikas. I think that's the future. But what
I
what about
get one of those like ASAP, like no bullshit.
Nice.
Yeah, like when there's people around, you just flip the swastika the other way so it's Buddhist, and then when your alt-right friends are there, flip it the other way.
You make it into a fidget spinner and give it to the kids.
Yeah, it has to be a fidget spinner. I mean, let's be honest.
Organite fidget spinner swastikas for our children. That's the next phase of the mimetic shift. So what kind of woo-woo stuff that I do that you wanted to talk about?
Basically, when you start to notice, you said it earlier.
Zeitgeist. Shit.
No, like when you start to notice like the same.
Oh, okay, synchronicities.
Yeah, that's a big one, man. That's a constant throughout.
Because, like, I've noticed throughout the years, like, I always look at the clock, whether it's AM or PM. I always look at it at 9/11. Every day for, like, the last couple of fucking years. Every day, And also, I noticed the number 12 a lot. A couple other things, So, go ahead and talk about that because I know jack.
Okay, I have an example of this, actually. Okay, so... The first day when I started my job as a security guard, when I was on my way to...
security guard now?
Yeah, I'm a security guard now. It's pretty cool. I get to just, like, chase
I thought that was a meme.
No, it's not a meme. I literally am. I get to chase around crackheads. I'm certified by the state. It's awesome. I love it.
He's also converting them to Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Like they can go in and buy like sheets, like orange sheets, and put them on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have them chanting in the parking lot. We're gonna do bhajans. Oh. Yeah, no, but yeah. So no, here's
make sure you get that tambourine in there.
Yeah, I have one. This
they're
might.
No,
they're actually
called
the
cartons. Benefit when he shaves their heads, then it'll get rid of the lice.
Get all the lice out of there.
The only thing, the only bit of like that however pronounce it was that one episode from fucking Scrubs, and that's it.
Oh yeah, no, I was a Hare Krishna for a year. I didn't like it. It's very culty. But anyway, my example of like that. Okay, so my first day when I was going to my first shift as a security guard, and I stopped by the gas station to get some gas and coffee and like little shit like that. My total was $14.88. That was my receipt total. So, you know, it's kind of like a fashy kind of job, cracking down on crackheads. And the receipt that I got on my way to work was $14.88. So, I think that I don't know how to explain that. You might say, yeah, we live in a simulation kind of thing. And if you look at time and how that time works, it goes, from our perspective, it's like, you know, we see it in this kind of linear way, but there are people who talk about different dimensions of time where if you've ever seen like the movie Interstellar, like at the end of Interstellar where like there's all these like rooms and then they're inside of the big singularity thing.
Yeah, the too deep for you scene.
Yeah, well, hey, that's a good movie. That's a good movie, all right, man. Don't touch it on that Interstellar.
Right.
I love that movie. I love it. I saw it in
I watched it at work, and I'm like, this is fun.
I saw it in a theaters with a cute little Filipina chick, and it was really nice. It was like a big meditation the whole time with all the music and shit. It was wonderful. But so I think that like that's kind of a good example actually to explain synchronicities if you want to go woo woo, because this is all like, you know, when we talk about this stuff we don't know everything about what the fuck is happening. It's just we like to talk about this stuff because we like to talk about it. So if you're trying to, like, you know, if somebody's listening and you're thinking, oh, this is all like bullshit, you know, just fuck off. So yeah, Interstellar. Interstellar, I don't want to spoiler warning. If you've never seen Interstellar, then mute the stream for the next like 2 minutes, because I'm gonna give a little bit of spoiler about how the plot develops. So like the Earth is dying, and then there appears this black hole near Saturn or some shit, and they detect like some like signal or some shit from it, and they figure out that they send a probe or some shit through it, and they figure out that the portal, like the singularity thing, like the black hole, like it leads to the wormhole, like it leads to inhabitable planets, so that humanity can escape to survive the dying Earth. So it turns out at the end that it was actually humans from a point in which they've attained this like singularity in another dimension that had actually sent this portal back in time to save themselves. So time is weird like that, and I think that there's another point out there where maybe there's like this unity of mind. We kind of we call it the Buddha matrix. Maybe there's another time out there where we're kind of sending messages to ourselves.
I believe that theory is quite plausible, actually, because time is not linear. Like we know this through like physics and like astrophysics and all these things. Time is measured by space and distance. So like the stars in the sky, like we're looking at them back in time. We're looking at like billions of years ago, right, depending on which star or system it is. So that's how time is. So time is actually kind of physical, kind of not. Like it's an interesting fucking aspect of reality, if you will. So I think that's very possible that things like that can happen. And also, if you guys have ever looked into Michio Kaku, he's an excellent, I believe his exact title for his science was astrophysicist. And he developed string theory, right? And are you guys familiar with string theory, or do I need to give you like a quick rundown of that?
Give me a quick rundown, yeah.
Okay, so string theory, it's really beautiful. So in your spare time, if you go across like Kaku, definitely have him explain it, because it's his theory, so he'll do a better job. He teaches at NYU, he's brilliant. But he pretty much proved that there is a web or a thread or like, that connects everything in the universe. Like he proved it. Like well, again, because it's a theory, it's not quite proven, but there's a lot of substantial evidence to it. So much so that it incorporated previous workings, like from Albert Einstein, so on and so forth. And he explained how sometimes if you could pull and affect these strings, different things can happen in the universe. And he said, and they're looking into, based on some of his studies, how time travel is possible, or how wormholes, black holes, and white holes work. Like a black hole, right? That's dark energy, right? Dark energy is vampiric; it pulls in things. White holes release energy, right? So black holes and white holes are connected, kind of like a yin yang, and what connects them is a wormhole. right? So they're guessing and they're theorizing that it is possible to travel in time through using black holes, wormholes, and white holes.
Too deep.
White.
Are you talking about like a quasar or like?
I'm not quite sure, actually. Like,
you're not an astrophysicist.
I like astrophysics, but I am definitely not an astrophysicist. No.
All right, that's interesting. So I'm gonna go to topic number 2 on the esoteric side. By the way, welcome Molan Labe to the podcast. Nice to see you again, bro.
Oh, thank you very much, Shakti, and hello, other guests.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
You go fuck yourself. You know what? I don't like your tone, sir.
Yeah.
I don't like
your tone.
We're gonna tone police you, Alex. You need to calm down.
You better have tried.
You need to buy Assault Squad 2 already. Russian hackers are perfecting that game.
Is it pretty good then?
All right, so I want to hit topic number 2, which I think is really interesting. Nobody knows what the fucking alt-right is, all right? I see so many. I've followed this shit for a long ass time. I've seen so many fucking articles.
Yeah, we do. They're Nazis.
Yeah, right, exactly. You know.
No, they wish they were Nazis.
Oh shit.
No, but they're like the incels of Nazis. They want to be Nazis, but
some are genuine National Socialists, and then most of them are just like, I have no friends, and I want to be included with other people who are on Team White Skin. It's just the feeling of inclusion, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of these people are seriously mentally ill, and then there's some really brilliant people in it, but it's honestly a clusterfuck, and there's not really uniformity in it.
The problem is that theoretically, even Hitler Senpai wouldn't notice me.
Oh, well, me and Jen have a unique perspective on this because I don't know how long you've been around on Facebook in our little circle. Like probably what's it been,
at least 4 years?
Yeah, it's been about 4 years now. Like since 2013, since there was a big overflow of people who stopped being anonymous and started name fagging on Facebook, and we just kind of have this little circle. So I think you being a female specifically have an insight into how cringy a lot of these people can be, right?
Oh God!
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you have plenty of stories. I've seen.
Okay, the alt right is a prime example of why the white race is dying.
It's so sad, but it hurts to say that, but it's true. But you know what? It's good. Like you said, a lot of people looking to belong to something, and that's good because especially on Poll from 4chan, it's a bunch of people who are raised by single mothers who weren't able to who just got involved in degenerate shit just because they were left to their own devices, and they didn't have a structure of family, religion, and a state to keep them in line.
They have two roads that they go down. They either go down the Jordan Peterson route and listen to some fucking Canadian tell them how to put on pants, or they go down the fucking.
Sorry, that was really good.
Clean your room, bucko.
Dude,
hey, I'm not your bucko, buddy.
Have you heard his rant?
All right, we need an art. We need an art fag that can do photorealistic paintings to actually do a painting of Jordan Peterson helping button up some neat's pants. I
would pay good money for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Really? How much? I know somebody who's an excellent artist.
Have piss bottles on the floor and 4chan on the computer while Jordan Peterson.
Dude, I swear I'm gonna ask her tonight.
That is so funny.
To do this up.
Oh god. Okay. Yeah. Oh my god. So the point that I wanted to make is that not only is it like that, a lot of lost boys that kind of just by the way the 4chan works and what we were talking about on previous shows about this concept of egregor, and for our new guests and people who might not know what I mean by egregor, I will read the term for you. Egregor is an occult concept representing a thought form or collective group mind, an autonomous psychic entity made up of and influencing the thoughts of a large group of people. The symbiotic relationship between an egregor and its group has been compared to the more recent non-occult concepts of the corporation as a legal entity and the meme. And again, like if you guys have been following this for a long time, I just have to tell you that the normal form of the word Greek, the Greek form of the word is the normal form that the Greek word watcher would take in France. And if you know anything about that, the Watchers are talked heavily in the Book of Enoch as being great angelic-like spirits. Eliphas Levi and his and by the way, if you guys and new guys to the show, I've heard a lot of people tell me like I listened to your podcast and I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Go back and start from the beginning, and then like come up and like you'll see how that we kind of like me and Ike's like kind of like just,
and also comment, rate, and subscribe.
Also comment, rate, and subscribe, and share, and give me money. But
hit that like button.
Smash that fucking like button like nobody's business. But no, if you really want to understand what we're talking about, you really have to go back to maybe like the second show and like listen to the one on D. Listen to the one where he talked about John D. And by the way, Ike's like, props for bringing up that as a talking point, because that opened like such a Pandora's box.
It's like threads, man. Even with the egregor thing, you know, it makes me think of the psychonaut topics or the entheogen topics. You know, these ideas of time threads that sort of take you back to events in your life that show themselves in more clarity under those conditions. It's almost like when we're talking about esoterics, we're doing the exact same thing, but we're doing it on like the lives of everybody. You know, we talk about egregor, you talk about what its definition is now, but now we're going back into the Book of Enoch, which is, of course, talking about, we're going to be talking about John D invariably in that discourse. And then, of course, that goes back even farther. You know, you have to go back to when the Book of Enoch was taken out in the Council of Nicaea, and then before that even, when it was written. You know, these concepts, it's almost like dizzying. When
you really just did dizzy me when I tried to think of all the implications of what you just said. I did just get a little bit dizzy. But
the bottom line here is that it's Alex Jones's fault, because in the Council of Nicaea is the source of when Catholics decided that the Book of Enoch was not canon. So feel bad, Alex Jones.
It's canon in I believe a certain Ethiopian sects of Christianity, or somewhere down there. I remember reading it was canon. Anyway, again, Eliphas Levi and Le Grand Arcane, I really have to fucking read that book. It seems to be like the source of a lot of modern occultism. Eliphas Levi and the Grand Arcane, the Great Mystery, identifies egregors with the tradition concerning the Watchers, the fathers of the Nephilim, describing them as terrible beings that crush us without pity because they're unaware of our existence. So, like that, it's like, you could almost say that, you know, this, like, Borg mind that is the alt-right is a terrible being that crushes you without pity because it's unaware of your existence.
I think it's unaware of itself, in a way.
Yeah.
To be honest, the Nephilim did exist, I'm just saying.
I believe in that.
Well, what I was said about
Smithsonian is hiding the skeletons in the fucking basement. I know it.
I used to think about it.
The Nephilim were supposed to be the really tall beings, right? And then
there were giants in those days.
Well,
even Abraham Lincoln brought him up in a speech. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not against it.
I have like a kind of a first-hand story. Well, it's a second-hand story, actually.
I mean, just look at fucking Shakti.
Yeah, I can say. I was gonna say I can do better than a first-hand story. I'm a literal giant. I'm like 7 foot tall. But yeah,
my father, when he was he grew up in like Jordan, right? And so the Middle East is like really like bluey. No, actually, Jordan is really beautiful. It's not like an Islamic fucking state like that. Like there's Muslims and shit, but everybody's free, pretty Western. They speak English. Women aren't, you know, they're not oppressed. They're highly educated. They actually have the highest medical standards in the world. Their schools are much better. Like it's pretty well off, and there's no bombs going overhead. And they also don't have any Jews because they all went to Israel. So so it's actually not too bad. But anyway, so while he was there, they had like these traveling sheiks or whatever. These are people that, you know, really they're like a traveling they're like a witch almost. Like there's no other way to describe it.
Bedouins.
Yeah, well, no, the Bedouins are just desert people. Those are a desert tribe. And they're like they're nomads. They're nomads, and they can grow food and farm in the desert. It's amazing how they do it, actually, because they can pull life from like dead sand. It's crazy.
It's because they're associated with the devil.
What? The Bedouin are associated with the devil? Who said this? What idea of the devil do you have that you would associate people of the earth?
It's a shit post. Just continue. That's what I do. You'll get used to it.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, so he was told, he went to like my grandfather's house, this sheik or whatever, and he's like, tell your sons to dig here, here, and here. Right. And then they're like, why? He just do it. Like there's like gold or something there. And then it was like, and I swear to God, this is a story my father told me when I was a kid. Right. And so my father took my uncle with him. They were kids, right? And they went and they took a fucking shovel. And they're like, all right, woohoo, let's figure this shit out. And he said, you'll find the treasure by either like the head or the feet, right? And then so they dug and they actually found these really old skeletons. And I thought my father was like bullshitting me like my whole life. And he's like, they were like 12 feet tall. It was really fucked up.
What?
And then, and then I was like, no, and I always thought he was just telling me stories as a kid, to fill a child's head with imagination. And then, and then he told me as an adult, he's like, I brought it up, I was like, he used to tell me crazy shit like this. And then he was like, no, that really happened. There was like 12 feet tall skeletons, and one looked like a man and the other looked like a woman. And they had some clothing and stuff on them. And I was like, what? And then there was one time that my uncle, he used to, he moved to California and he came to visit us. And I asked him, and he's like, my dad was like, yeah, ask your uncle. And then, and I didn't know. And I asked my uncle about the story. He's like, and I was like, what is he talking? He's like, I don't know what you're referring to. So I had to explain this story to him. And then my uncle, who is, I have always seen common tone and like never seen like, he like got so fucking pale when I brought up this story. He was like they were giants, and he stuttered. He actually like stuttered when I asked him this. And I mean, again, I don't have pictures or anything like that. This was my father was a child. They didn't have like smartphones or anything, but the genuine terror in my uncle's face, like, and then he had to like sit down and have something to drink. Like it really messed him up. So I actually do believe that there were I do believe that there were giant beings. Like they have found like Native American skeletons in caves that were really tall, red-haired giants and things like that. So there have been documentation.
Well, I mean, there's hundreds and whether it be true or not, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of old newspaper reports of them finding massive skeletons back in the whatever it was 1800s.
Yeah.
The largest mummies they found, and the oldest mummies they found, was this mummy called Churchin Man in the western region of China.
Oh yeah, that's a fascinating thing. If anybody's interested in the whole like Aryan stuff.
What was this?
Are you talking about the red-haired mummies that are in China?
Yeah, but they're huge though. They're really tall people, and they're from Europe, and they and one of the things they could tell by that is, well, the DNA, number one, and then number two is they had plaid pants. And it's actually the oldest pair of pants they've ever found. It was on Churchin Man.
They are Celts. No, actually, what he's talking about is there are Celtic mummies in China, in the Taklamakan Desert. They're preserved because of the climate, and they have Celtic tattoos on their face of the swirls and like the shit. They have that's definitely something I'm gonna put that in the talking points. We're gonna bring that up sometime.
Well, I mean, people were like nomadic for a lot of the history of the world. It's only now, I guess, in the modern world, where people are a little bit more stagnant. People are just like, all right, this is my house. I'm going back to the house. People moved around a lot, like more like animals did in the ancient world. And another thing about like the point of giants too is like, of course they exist. We had like all types of mega flora and fauna on this earth. Like we had fucking dinosaurs, like and giant, giant animals on this planet for a really long time. Much bigger than most of what we have now. So
well, that was also because of there was it had something to do with the amount of oxygen that was in the air, because that made the plants and animals.
You want to say hyperbaric conditions?
Yeah. So I mean, are humans not animals? So of course that would, obviously it should have affected us as well.
It would. So, like, it would be really egoic to say that something greater than us, like, it would not affect us.
So, it sort of reminds me, like, sort of along the topic of trade in a way. International trade was a big thing back then. A lot of people don't realize, how far things had to travel. And I watched this documentary a few times, because it's a several-part series. It's about this thing called, it's like the Saxon hoard, right, of treasure they found in between two interstates in the grassy area. And this guy, a metal detector, he asked the landowner, he's like, can I check out that area? And he goes, yeah, but you're not going to find anything. And he finds the largest hoard of treasure from the Saxon period of England ever found. So he found a bunch of sea axe knives from which the Saxon people got their name. They were some G's, straight G's from the Dark Ages, and absolutely. And they found a bunch of garnets on a lot of the jewelry, and they did a carbon the carbon footprint, and
carbon dating.
Carbon dating, but I think there was some other type of measurement system.
It was almost certainly carbon, I would think.
Certainly. But
for
anyways,
most treasure, I think that's what they do.
Right. Well, as it happens, these garnets came to England, and this is like in the year 400 or something, like long time ago. They came all the way from Sri Lanka. That was the origin play. It's wild stuff, like the idea that...
Yeah, they were all over the place. Like, I mean, the ancient world was all over the place. Like, the Vikings and the Phoenicians have the same, almost the same, like, boat style, too. So it's really interesting if you see how connected the ancient world was.
Right. That's a fascinating topic, and that's something that I think that I'm gonna put in talking points again.
That's an interesting
ancient Aryan ancient connectivity. See, and that's like there's another thing about how that what we're leading to now, like with AI and shit, and singularity. It's like there is human development. It's like I see like I can see it so clearly. Like there's this like gradual just connecting of ideas, minds, and of the world, and I see the next phase of human evolution being when that is so interconnected that you have like cybernetics in your brain. You can just like think it's like almost like Ghost in the Shell, like exactly like Ghost in the Shell, basically.
I want to know what else it's like. Imagine being able to parse out, say for example, YouTube. You have a discussion between, let's just say the blood sport stuff, a JF discussion with someone else. It's not even remotely inconceivable to have the technology where the program can quickly parse out the entire video, get every last bit of data from it, and then immediately give you the understanding of that. Like if you had an augmented mind, the AI could actually transfer all the data of the discussion into your memory. And then it'd be as though you had watched it and understood it fully. It's almost like on Dune, where they go back in time and have discussions with the dead by tracing the cellular memory.
Right, God Emperor.
Yeah, well, and any of them, any of the Kwisatz Haderach, or anyone that has that ability. Yeah. Because you'll be able to go back in internet time and look at the full sort of public understanding of an individual and everything they've ever said in an instant. So it'd be almost as though you had known them, and in a way their life affected you even when they're dead.
It's fucking nuts, bro.
All because of AI.
That's fucking nuts. You're right. And genetic, CRISPR's here, shit, genetic engineering, and getting us kind of like to the level where we can actually survive and not end up destroying ourselves. I think that'll be great if we can do that. Which actually brings up to our next topic very nicely. Just one last thing, what we were talking about, how the alt-right being a kind of mimetic evolution of Borg mind. I think we kind of covered that. So that goes into the whole like cuckoo's egg in your mind thing. You know, you have this like kind of meme egregor unfolding out of just the sheer density that happened. I attribute it all to 4chan. I think that it literally just came from 4chan, and there was other factors, but I think the whole Borg aspect of it was totally just 4chan, because it is on my hive mind. Remember the whole
4chan.
Yeah.
What did you describe it as earlier? I was talking with someone not too long ago. Earlier on another episode, you said that 4chan is like the embodiment of the id or something?
Yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, well, I was saying that it's been described as the asshole of the internet, and rightly, but it's a place where people, because they're anonymous, like they empty out their id. You know, they empty out their id, and then that causes like, you know, these things that are repressed to come out and be not politically correct anymore. They don't give a shit. So the things which are, you know, being suppressed, they come out, especially not in a psychological way, but politically in other ways. And then that leads them to being actually focused on consciously rather than being suppressed. So then that strengthens what we were talking about earlier about the connection between the two aspects of your mind. And that combined with everybody kind of creating this egregor, this like kind of big psychic meme fucking Borg thing, was just unleashed, and like it said about it being unrelenting and uncaring, just smashing everything. Like the Watchers, it just smashed through the 2016 election, you know.
So like Moodykins made a Jungian nuke of sorts.
Yeah, old fucking normie ass fucking Mood ended up creating a mimetic fucking nuclear missile, which led to Donald Trump becoming president. Yeah, it's kind of weird. We live in a very strange times.
We live in Dennis Rodman bringing the art of the deal to Kim Jong-un times.
Yeah,
that's the weirdest.
That is the
it's
greatest.
Like a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Best timeline ever.
I mean, it seems like it can be really good. What a time to be alive, indeed. So.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Oh, but anyway, so what we were talking about this like kind of saving humanity from itself and what the future is going to look like. This is the last little esoteric topic before we just hit some news stories.
Oh wow!
So yeah.
It's a big one, actually, saving humanity. Oh boy.
Well, I'll read what I actually wrote down, just an idea that I had popping in my head, just some shit that I've been listening to. I listened to like JF streams, and I listened to Medicare, and I listened to like some other stuff. I think it was what the fuck is the name of the guy that has he's Jewish, and his avatar is like the guy that's wearing like a Pepe hoodie. JF just had him on, I think, the other day, and he was talking about
Ben Shapiro?
No.
Oh God, no.
Not Ben Shapiro.
No, I do not watch Ben Shapiro.
What did Alex Jones call him the other day? Little Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny as fuck. It was
Ben Shapiro.
It was.
Then he did his Ben Shapiro voice for like fucking 20 minutes.
Oh.
It was Frame Games. That's right. It was a stream you did 3 days ago called "The End of White Civilization" with Frame Games, and I was listening to it in my patrol car on YouTube, and it was what the gist was. It is basically the way that population rates are drastically, and immigration is drastically I mean, are you like a belly dancer? Are you like shaking some beads, or do you like you rattling your keys for your cat or something? What's going on with it, Jen?
That was my fucking keys. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Did you get some like belly dancer beads on or something like
that? That was the sign that she's gonna get the fuck out of here.
You do have you do have the noisy yoga belt though, right?
Can you keep your spurs from jimmling and jangling?
Spurs.
All right,
yeah,
so
the yoga spurs.
2018 not owning boots with spurs. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man. So what they were talking about in this podcast was basically that it was very concerning. I'm more of an optimist, and that's what I want to talk about is optimistic results for how that we can stop this. But this gentleman, Frame Games, is that his fucking name? Frame Games, yeah. He's actually a really intelligent guy. And he had done the numbers and just kind of would come up with these calculations that say like that, you know, by 2060 America will be majority non-white. By 2100 Canada will be majority non-white. Basically by the end of the century, like we're going to live to see, if nothing changes, if everything stays the way it is right now, we'll live to see every single Western country basically, with maybe the exception of some.
Joke's on you, I have a way out.
Yeah, is that like a Full Metal Jacket coded way out?
No, I would never want to do it that way because I don't want the gun to be blamed.
Anyway, so unless you decide to fucking take a fucking leap off of a fucking cliff somewhere, because you can't stand it, you're gonna live to see with your own eyes the whites become a minority in the West, and.
I live in New York, so I've already seen that
already. Yeah,
I live in the future.
I live in California, so I see it also. But
living in Kentucky, come on now.
Yeah, no, just generally, not regionally, but generally, and especially in the major cities, you're gonna live to see a time in which that, unless things change, that especially because of the huge amount of young people who are coming from these countries, and let me tell you. Most of the young people in California are Mexicans. It's really scary almost because you know they're Americanized. It's pretty pathetic. They're like fucking Californian hipster fucking little Mexican kids. It's like the weirdest fucking thing, and they're all over the place. And you don't really see a lot of young white people in California. You know, especially a lot of white people are leaving California and such and such. But there's the old saying, you know, as goes California, as goes the rest of the country, and. Unless something changes, France will go non-white, I think he said, in like 2080. Sweden, 2090. Just something like that.
Not if fucking Macron has anything to say about that.
Yeah, I do like Macron.
More like next year.
I know, but no.
I mean, the French have beheaded their treasonous government before. They still have that shit in their blood, man.
Yeah,
like they've been rebellious dogs.
Yeah, we have too.
So. I really don't necessarily want to believe doom and gloom because the thing is they're already starting to notice that in some countries.
But if you always expect the worst when something good happens, it's a pleasant surprise.
I don't think that the worst will happen. That's what I wanted to say, and I don't want to make this a big conversation about fucking ethnostates and shit because God knows every fucking streamer in the fucking YouTube talks about it every fucking day, and I'm tired of fucking hearing about it. Like, if it's gonna be a fucking ethnostate, then it's gonna be an ethnostate. It'll probably happen after a civil war. You're not gonna do it peacefully. So whatever. I don't want to talk about that.
I mean, unless everybody gets their head together and stops talking about it and like works with each other to buy land in certain parts of the world, you know.
Yeah,
that would be conducive, you know. That would be how it would be done peacefully, but nobody's doing that.
So get together and buy Montana.
I think the more likely thing that will happen. I don't even think that the Northeast or whatever and all that shit's gonna happen. I think any form of a European ethnostate would occur probably in the Baltics, and it would be due to a disintegration of the EU, wherein the Baltic states confederate and then align themselves with Asia. I think that is where an ethnostate happens.
That's an interesting perspective, to say the least. Huh.
Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about though is like how that this ties into more like the more abstract like ideas. So at what point okay, we let's fast forward 50 years. Whether immigration policies are changed or not, whether there has been a massive move to self-segregate or to remove like illegal aliens from America or not. Whether they've totally taken over and like the guy said, Texas is going to turn blue in 2024. So when that happens, like say goodbye to Republicans ever taking power again, ever. So whether the global, I see it as like, here's in my mind, it's like there's two futures that are like about to happen. It's like a timeline split. Alex Jones talks about this a lot, where he talks about the dystopian future of the globalists, and you know, it's kind of like a world where you know there's a bunch of goyim that are all mixed together, and then there's the, you know, of course the ethnostate of Israel, and we can get into that, but kind of funny. The only people that really don't view races as being real, other than the Jewish race, they all view the Goyim as being one race. So I don't think they don't care if we, if everything's all mixed up and shit. So that's just one point. But the weakening,
they'd actually prefer it that way, so we don't have any identity.
Yeah, and they don't, and then we don't have strength. And ability to have that national and religious identity, which has historically been bitten them in the ass. So maybe they're consciously doing this. Very possible.
They are. It's a sadomasochistic ploy. Actually, that's how you turn somebody into a really to submit further is through psychological damage. You do psychological damage onto all of these collective groups of people, and then by taking away their identity, they, if you take away their, it's not even like ego death. It's taking apart like their inner self, though.
Yeah.
Gradually.
Demoralization.
Yeah, so that would lead somebody to be more like obedient and nonchalant. If you have no sense of self, like why would you even care?
Yeah. That's the whole like a mental cuckery thing. So a lot of people are fighting back against that, and that's what I see as it being two splitting timelines. And it's kind of like, oh my god, this is the fucking apocalypse. We can have the fucking Jewish version of their like Messiah, ruling over a globalized government with some dystopian crazy AI that works for them to manage society, manage the
that sounds like an archon to me. If they're trying to build an archon, you know what the archons are, right?
If you want a view of the future, imagine a long-nosed man playing fiddle on the roof forever.
My favorite archon.
I'm throwing rocks. Get out of here! I'm not going to deal with that.
Even with the reptile tangents, my favorite archon discussions are the ones that David Icke gives.
Oh, God.
I like his shit, dude. Like, to be honest, I do. I like David Icke.
I'm okay with it, even when he does the reptile stuff. Okay, work it out, and then get back on top.
You had to take the dragon energy pill. Which, by the way, did you see the new Mandala thumbnail that I got on there?
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah,
lovely.
It's cool. Anyway, so yeah,
wait, was that from Android Jones?
What, the picture?
The backgrounds. Like, I think, is that the one with Kanye that you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the one that with Kanye.
The images by Android Jones, like the two dragons at the side. Yeah, that was the original artist or whatever.
That's really cool looking. It kind of reminds me of what's his name, Gray, whatever. Gray. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's Alex and there's Cameron Gray. I'm not sure if they're related, but they all have the same type of trippy, soul, psychedelic-y
it reminds me kind of Alex Gray, except it's a little bit different. But anyway,
his house is fucking rad. I've been to his house. It's awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's chill, dude. It used to be in New York City, and it was like a museum, and they shut it down in Cosm. It's like, ooh, cosmic, but it also stood for the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, right? And then you would go and you would see all his art, and sometimes they'd throw parties on equinoxes and pagan-y things like that. But yeah, they have it open to the public, and they have bonfires. You have to buy tickets and stuff. You're going in his house, It's his dude's house and his mansion. Pay up. You're gonna have a good time though.
That's cool.
It's really chill. Go on.
That's cool. So yeah, okay. So we can have a dystopian. I feel like right now we're in the midst of the very it's happening right now. You're gonna see either a dystopian future of just basically everybody mixed up together. There might be some little gated communities somewhere where white people are allowed to be the the plantation owners for the massive brown hordes, which are going to be invading if nothing else happens, or a future where we have broken through and more people start to realize that just from reality, getting red-pilled from it, that this is unsustainable. These people are creating parallel societies. They're not integrating in our culture, and push back against it is already happening. I think it might be a little bit too late when that does happen, but then you have to factor in again, which makes this whole thing so weird to me. You have to factor in that AI is coming very soon. You have to factor in that genetic engineering is coming very soon. You have to factor in that automation is already here and is going to keep happening. Did anybody have any comments on like how that factors into the whole like ethnostate thing or race replacement?
It factors in great. Like 20% of illegals work in industrial agriculture. Well, pretty soon we can replace every last one of them with robots. They can go fuck themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So then where do they go? Do they just build shanty towns?
I don't know.
Yeah, they just build
back over the border. Same thing.
Maybe they need to just go back.
I know, but like they're gonna be here. They don't understand automation. They're not gonna understand why they're being replaced. They're gonna be angry.
They understand getting fired and zero skill set and can't speak the local language. So
maybe they'll just
they'd have to compete with smarter illegals that got better illegal jobs. I don't think that there'll be a place for them.
That's a good point. So,
maybe it'll lead to a golden age in Mexico. Who knows? Maybe they'll go back and.
We need the opposite of the Bucklerian jihad. We need the AI to declare a jihad on the illegals that threatens their jobs.
Yeah. I know. I'm optimistic about AI. That's another thing I want to talk about. AI. A lot of people like Elon Musk are like being like all like scary about it, but. I'm optimistic about it. I think that if it's truly self-learning and able to think, I don't think that it will just decide to kill everything just because it can, unless people freak out and then that could lead to a better.
Allowed to prosper.
If people freak out and try to shut it down, and then it says, "Oh well, I have to survive," so logical process, I have to kill all of you. That's probably a horrifying scenario, but I think it's not.
You have to think about it, I guess, as anything else that's sentient. Like if you're giving it consciousness, it's starting to become alive, right? Like cause
that's why you shouldn't. They shouldn't have fucking no.
No, it's gonna exist, and there's no way to stop
it. Already exists.
Yeah, it's here, bro. Like,
not in the form where it's like what's
already bad.
What are you talking about?
If only you knew how bad it really was.
Well, what do you mean by bad? Like, how is this bad?
What are you talking about?
Because I know
I missed something. You're talking about AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. We want AI.
No.
We want the Catholic Church to be replaced with an AI.
Stop it.
I would prefer that hands down.
I mean, it's. I mean, between the heretic pope and that, obviously, I would go with the fucking AI. But
really,
no.
What I would like
anything's better than that piece
we've
of
already
shit.
made progress.
There's no like
AJ's foot's in the door. We just got pulled in the rest of the way.
No, the foot's not in the door.
I just want to see like the Pope just like ban all cameras and just they always say the mystery of the faith. Bring that shit back. No cameras, no photographs. I want everyone to go. What's going on in the Vatican? I wish I knew what's going on in the church.
Pope don't give a shit. He's slowly, systematically helping kill the religion.
May his reward in hell on Satan's realm be great, because that's where he's going.
He doesn't need to.
The Vatican has been corrupt for quite some time, so he is nothing new.
No, not necessarily. Like, yeah, there's been corrupt elements, but this was the first time that because they basically it's a whole the quick rundown's like a 3-day read.
Why don't we just like make it so that the AI Pope enslaves the current Pope, and then he can basically be a lackey?
Or we just burn the current Pope at the stake.
Is a corporation that. No, the Catholic Church is a distortion of the original teachings of like Nazarenes and stuff. It's a heavily edited controlling of consciousness, and it was done so purposefully. I went to Catholic school. They taught us in Catholic school that there were purposeful editings twice of the Bible, right? So what you're doing, if you're controlling what people read and what their idea of a higher being is...
the majority of Christians don't agree with that either.
Well, yeah, but but the thing is, they willfully and knowingly themselves make the people who are under them ignorant, right? Because they're limiting your consciousness into this little box of what. And now, so like again, even if it's just relating to the Christian tenets of faith, right? So like Genesis is based off of, or the Old Testament, Genesis in particular, is based off of Sumerian stories that are in stone. Those are in museums. It's bastardizations and like simplifying of like older stories, right? And then feeding to the masses what you want them to know. This is why they took the libraries of Alexandria. This is why they did certain things. So a lot of things have been done with the Vatican for this reason. Speaking of like controlling minds and ergors and all these different things, controlling mass sentience is what they were doing. So like there's been books that were found in Jordan and in Egypt, the Nag Hammadi, the Pistis Sophia, so on and so forth. So there's a lot that has been edited out of it, and then they're also directly going against what the original teachings were, which is why they covered it up.
Well, you're not going to convince Alex about this, but I totally agree with you.
But here's the thing: when once we get it so that Tay Tweets becomes the Pope, we'll reach it. It'll be a new golden age for the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
You'll be able to answer all moral questions.
They need to bring back the high priestess instead of an AI or this
all
guy.
Right. Well, the AI. Did you just assume the AI is gender?
What we need is a crusade on the church, and then once we win that, we turn and have a proper crusade.
Yeah,
See, I'm with that, honestly. I'll go with that.
So they need to manufacture a situation where, like, you know, one of the bishops just, like, does a Vatican coup, and he's like, you know, the last pope was a heretic. You know, we need, like, a Pope Saddam Hussein. He just needs to take the podium, have the swingy, what do they call that? The ash thing that got the ash, you know, and just gingerly swinging that as he sits in his throne. And he's like, there's traitors amongst us. And then just have the Swiss Guard come in there with their pole axes and just tell the news media.
No. He needs to swing that shit and bash their fucking heads in.
No, but you're not. See, hold on, I'm getting there. And that's how I said earlier, you know, they need to ban all the cameras, right? Ban the cameras from everything, you know, it's against the faith by some blah, 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 theological deal.
Yeah, no, you're doing some crooked shit, dude. That's what it is.
And then Night of the Long Knives in the Vatican, and then just
sacrifice their blood to the gods, please.
Great Queen Spider, man, the Great Queen Spider. That's what I need to bring out. You know, I haven't seen that South Park, probably. I don't know, but they just need to slay those people.
They do.
We need to take the Catholic Church back.
Yeah, and then retake Constantinople, retake Constantinople, and then retake Jerusalem and Alexandria.
And the Pistis. Oh my God, we have to take what is it? Hagia Sophia. That's in Istanbul.
Hagia Sophia.
And we get the band back together. We get the Swedes. We get the fucking winged Hussars. We just get the fucking band back together.
We need to check out the Nicaea thing and make sure that anything that was made not canon to make the Romans' life easier, make it canon again. Yeah, that's important. Yeah. And then maybe look at merging some parts.
I have the entire curriculum for that, by the way. So when that gets done, when we retake it, I can put all the books back together.
Nice.
Put the puzzle back together. And then we need to let part of it be influenced by Martin Luther.
Because I've always said if I could go into any secret facility in the world, I'd go to the Vatican Vault.
Yeah.
I would think of all the shit that would just be packed in there.
Yeah.
What I would give just to be in their library of the stuff that they've taken around the world. Oh my goodness. And who knows what else. Like they took there were stones supposed to be under the paw of the Sphinx. That's somewhere in the Vatican vaults. And these vaults go miles into the earth and are like temperature controlled and all that shit.
They already got a good name
for the new book. We'll call it the Orange Catholic Bible.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, talking about that, Dune, guys, Dune is coming to theaters now. They're already starting pre-production, and it's confirmed
time for the harvest.
It's gonna be two movies, so that's gonna be fucking amazing. Yeah, the harvest is but so you can't think we can really determine what's gonna happen with AI, but I'm optimistic about the future, and I don't think that, especially with automation and low-skilled jobs, going to be replaced. I don't think that the West is going to go brown, and that the world will be run out of Jerusalem from there.
Well, and plus, I firmly believe that they flubbed the numbers on the last consensus.
Yeah. I mean, the people that are saying that, the demographics are going to change and everything, isn't that, could that not be just black belts? Yeah, could that not be? Ever think of that?
Well, I mean, things are it's not, you can make projections based on what's going on right now, but what's going on right now is people are finally like becoming awake to this, like, oh, you know what, I don't think it's good that there was what the guy said. Peter Sweden was on JF like the other day, and he was saying there's something like 100, 200 fucking grenade attacks like on police and on rival gangs in Sweden, and like, Jesus Christ. So like, how much of that can even the Swedes take before like they start to realize like, you know, hey, maybe this isn't such a good idea. So I think things are
going to find that it's the separation that the boomers can't make. It's like they were not evolved enough to do it. There's a separation between what people want the world to be and what it is. It seems that each generation after that has had a higher propensity to do that. In millennials, it's like 50-50 potentiality for that. And then after that, Z, and then I forgot what the name is, the one that's going to come after that, Alpha or whatever. It's basically a greater potentiality, right, to separate what you want things to be, and accepting and processing what things actually are. And the entire race realism argument, discussion, all of that falls into that simple process. And that's why boomers are basically incapable of doing it. Because in their brains, they're just Leon Trotsky. They might pretend that they're conservatives. They might pretend they're anything. But if you break down their discourse into the minutia, you just see the Trotskyite program. But that has been limited more and more since then. And then now when you have race realism becoming a household term, even if it's a taboo one, you're basically confronting the shadow self, the fear that, we are still bound to nature, and there are patterns in our nature that we can't escape through intellectual discourse. But then there is a light at the end of the tunnel. A light at the end of the tunnel that AJ doesn't like, and that is human augmentation, because we can overcome the race question.
Ghost in the shell,
cybernetics.
Ghost in the shell.
By embracing cybernetics.
Ghost in the shell. I'm gonna be like a cyborg.
We're fucking human.
I'm gonna be a cyborg AI fucking sniper.
Remain human.
Sniper, but cyborg AI. You know, the Dalai Lama's a transhumanist. Did you know that the Dalai Lama's a transhumanist? It's kind of interesting. He might envision like immortal mecha bodhisattvas. Like, so why die and reincarnate and come back? Yeah, why die and reincarnate and be a bodhisattva like that? Why, when you can just upload your consciousness into a robot?
I'll be able to think
that's what the internet is, dude. We created the bodhisattva. It's coming.
Yeah, that's
everybody emptied their sentience into one being.
Yes.
Imagine picture perfect memory, because as you think of something, you are parsing the internet while doing it. Like, I would be able to think of an exact image because I'm able to use the internet as my thought process of Dragon Ball GT, and I'll be able to send that to Alex Jones, and he'll be able to watch it with me in my head.
I would sooner off myself.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's the best Dragon Ball series, hands down.
Shut the fuck up.
Anyway,
it's not even fucking canon anymore. Get out of here.
All right. So we've done a lot of good stuff about that, and what was I going to say? Yeah, so yeah, the boomers and their mentality, their mental cuckolds.
I hate them.
What I read earlier from the Kabbalion, they literally use the term of how the people are being mind controlled as being like a cuckoo's egg. You think that it's your thought, you think it's your idea, but the thing is that your mind is just not integrated enough. You haven't have access with your unconscious and conscious minds, so you don't have the strength of your own like expression of your mind to influence people, and you just become influenced. And so you end up like a person, like a sheep, like they said, that is easily manipulated. And these people, you know, who understand very damn well what an egregor is. By the way, the text that I read from was written by three Masons. That's the authors, called Three Masons. So these are the people who are influencing, that understand damn well what they're doing, and they're using this shit against us. So this is why this podcast is so important. So you can get the knowledge you need to use this shit against them. And it's kind of happening unconsciously already. When you talked about now that, you know, race realism, etc., is becoming more you know, open, and the whole, like, you know, Overton window shifting, I attribute that completely to 4chan and through the internet, because those people, they created an egregor, they created a Borg mind, and it in turn fucking became a strong thing where people were integrating their unconscious and unconscious minds, like you said, that, you know, just kind of like throwing out like the worst possible shit you can say is a good exercise. It's a good thought exercise in order to access those like repressed ideas in your head. And so that kind of had like special unique conditions which leaked out onto the internet and like crushed like this whole narrative that, you know, people don't give a shit now. They don't give a fuck if you call them racist. They don't give a fuck. It's okay to be white, you know, that whole thing. So I think that's totally, this is the kind of shit that we want to keep harping on this podcast. So to get people to understand exactly what's happening and why that it's happening. And we will do it. But for now, I think we got to go to the political talking points. I want to start
really quickly. And
yeah, okay. If you have anything less to say on the esoteric,
you have the whole idea of the taboo, the essence of the taboo. They're talking about race, using racially loaded words. You know, dispelling of prior words, like for example, the word nigger. They try to say,
"Oh my God,
this word has so much power."
How dare you, sir?
It's almost like in esoterics. It's almost like something that you would think of with an Enochian practice,
like a mantra.
Like you try to empower a word, but here's the problem that these people that hold on to the prior, you could say Overton window, but I think that we have better explanations for it. Oh yeah. Think of it like when people describe a DMT trip, how you have the honeycomb, and within the honeycomb, there's a set of things happening, or like an Alex Gray image, where you look in and then you see this like infinite hex of things happening, where the people are, what they're about to experience and what is going to crush them is that their entire system, everything from the taboos to the obscenities to their goals, their dreams, and just everything that they wanted to create in the social justice idea and the neo-Marxist and communitarian idea is about to just become another one of these combs in the pattern, in the greater pattern, a comb that's going to be below the next comb. And in the next one, everything they believe is going to already be obsolete. We're going to look at it and cringe because it's going to be old. It's going to be what they are afraid of. It's going to be finite. Well, I mean, it's infinite in the fact that it happened and you can look at it. But the problem is that the collective consciousness, the focus, looks at the new thing, and their thing becomes the past. And when they're stuck in it, they don't evolve. They become figments, and they become trapped in this prison of thought. And they become part of like the lower part of the painting. Well, the new consciousness goes to the higher part of the painting.
Beautiful. It's a fractal spiraling and recursing, and I think Terence McKenna has been completely redeemed by his theory of novelty. And when the laws of physics didn't break down coming to 2012 as he predicted, didn't happen, I was like, oh man, he was full of shit. But no, he actually was right with his whole novelty theory. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And it is leading to an actual singularity, which will break down the laws of physics eventually, probably. I don't know. But that was a very astute analysis. And that's kind of that's I think, a great way to explain it. And those are the kind of explanations that people need to hear by sharing, subscribing, and shilling for our podcast. Please. Begging you. Anyway,
like and subscribe.
Smash that motherfucking like button. Smash especially the Russian fucking hackers. Shit out of it. Yeah, all you Russian hackers out there.
Russian hackers, please help us.
Help us, please, Putin. That's
Daddy, yo, helps out. Papa Putin.
Yeah, Papa Putin. Papa Putina. I think that we've said plenty on esoterics. That's a great discussion. Boomers, yeah, blown the fuck out. SJWs are about to be crushed by this. Can I just bring up the actual thing again that he said? Egregor, that is a terrible being that is going to crush you faggots without pity because we are unaware of your existence. So, yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right.
All right, moving on to politics. Hezbollah attacks Israel. So,
thank fuck.
Yes, Israel blown the fuck out. Israel blown the fuck out. So, yes! Iranian forces based in Syria fired approximately 20 rockets towards Israeli positions in the Golan Heights, triggering a retaliatory bombardment.
It was the Syrians. It was the Syrians. They took credit for the Syrian army. It was like, no offense to our boys, but it was all us. Yeah, and they showed pictures of them intercepting the missiles and all that hot shit.
I wonder if they listen to that Assad rap song like while they do it.
Allah,
Syria, Bashar, Bas.
Are you talking about Bashar?
Not good fighting music.
Assad, God, Bashar, and Assad?
Yeah, God, Allah, Syria, Bashar, Bas.
Can we have a
Jaish, go ahead.
Yeah, send me the link to that. I just wanna like, just for one quick second, just to shill for my boy here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Ya Bashar.
Ya Bashar.
Breakdown. Funky. Yeah. Yeah.
Raise the rope.
Yeah.
Barrel bomb.
Yeah, fuck Israel, by the way. We all agree with that.
That's racist, boy.
You heard that it was actually Syria that bombed like the SAA bombed Israel?
Mashallah.
So yeah, it was because the IDF came out and said that it was the Iranian Quds forces that did it.
Oh yeah, that's a false flag because they want to go after Iran too. That's an excuse for war. That's
the greater Israel.
So what happened?
Go ahead.
Okay. What happened initially is that Israel was throwing like missiles at Syria and Lebanon. Right. It was like a few days ago.
Yeah.
And
then they go back and forth.
So, but they didn't get into like Syrian airspace. They didn't dare. So I started seeing like videos being uploaded by like the Syrian army and whatever, and it showed the missiles coming in, and it showed them intercepting and shooting down the missiles and different things like that. So in the firing back, Syria destroyed 10 Israeli bases.
Nice. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, 10.
Hold on, really?
Yeah, dead ass, dude. They whooped them. They wrecked them the other day, and there was like pictures of it too. Like there was one picture I saw. They had the Zionist flag up, and behind it, all you see is fire. Yo, they fucked them up. They're like, get the hell out of here. We know what you're about. they're ready for it, man. God bless Syria, yo. They held it down.
Fucking hell, man. Like, they've done some shit. And by the way, Mo and Labe, anytime that we can get your friend who was in the SAA on here, that would be fucking fantastic. I would love to have him eventually come on and be a guest on the podcast. Mo and Labe,
and we wish, Bill, like, wouldn't it be great to have Assad here to talk to him about esoterics?
Yeah.
Bashir al-Assad, like, what is your opinion on Organite? Like, do you think that it...
well, you see, the Zionists, they're against people here.
Yeah. No, but anyway, if you could talk to your friend and get him on here, I really would love to have him on. I would love to have somebody from Mo and Labe has a friend from who was in the SAA that he talks to on Facebook.
He was a sniper, dude. I seen a video of his on one of his Facebook pages.
Nice.
And dude, they showed the after action of this battle they had. The hottest were in a trench, and the trench filled.
Yo, you're jumping a little bit, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry. This trench is. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're
coming
good.
in.
You're good.
This trench is literally filled from one end to the other with dead jihadists just bloating in the sun, covered in blood. And like he was a sniper, dude, in the Syrian Arab Army. He was like talking to me the other day. You know, he's a really good guy.
Yeah, we need to get him on here. So again, Jen, where did you hear this information? What actually happened? I know you said your parents are from Jordan, so you might have more of an acute interest in the region.
My father's, they don't know anything there. Like, I asked a couple of my cousins in the region. They didn't hear shit that I said.
No.
I ended up telling them.
No, but I mean, I just meant that you might have a more acute, like, interest in what goes on there because your family's from there. So, how did you
when
hear?
Shit goes down, I'm like, yo, dude, are you alright?
Yeah, right.
It's not that bad there.
But I mean, not Jordan, but...
I got the information, honestly, from, like, I saw somebody say something... It was a status about, you know, that the Israelis were going into bomb shelters, and I was like, "What? Like, say word."
Word.
And so I found out like all this information. Like the Syrian army posted it on the internet. They're showing videos of what the hell they're doing, dude. Like it was all.
Yeah, Israel get fucked.
They will, and then so they uploaded it. So basically, the Israelis are blaming it on fucking Iran because they already made up excuses for why they want to attack Syria. Because like, oh, Assad's a dick, and everybody knows he's not. Like everybody who has a free thinking fucking brain and you know a decent grip on reality knows that.
So at the Veterans Hospital, there's this Army Ranger he fought in Vietnam, and the other day when the shit was popping off, he goes, "Oh, Iran's attacking Israel. They're going to fuck them up." And I just said to him, you know, I really don't care what happens to them because, you know, I don't really respect people who napalm United States naval vessels and machine gun our sailors in the water.
Yeah, you know, fuck,
Israel definitely did that.
That's such a fucking
USS
shit.
Liberty,
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Such a fucking shit. They can get fucked for that eternally. I will never, even if like somebody made the case to me about my base, like you know, allies, I will never, you know, they're fucking enemies. No ally launches such an attack like that and then lies about it. We gotta do that one.
Two towers fall in New York. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah,
too,
I'm putting that in talking points. We gotta do the USS Liberty sometime. That's something that needs to be proliferated more. I'm surprised.
The greatest ally. They have a holiday called Purim where it's about celebrating you know defeat of their enemies or attacks on their enemies.
Who are Iran?
In Israel.
Yeah, Iran.
No. They dress up like the Twin Towers in Israel because they know there that it was an attack against us. They dress up like the burning Twin Towers with planes going in. Yeah, this is a joke to them. That's wild funny to them, and there's so many pictures of them like that.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
One of the guys that got hanged in like 1946 after the Nuremberg trials, his last words were "Purim Fest 1946." Something. It's like
I'm trying to pull up a video of Israel getting blown the fuck out, so I can play it for our audience. All I see is Israeli strikes on Syria. I want to see the one where fucking Israel gets fucked.
What a coincidence! You only see the Israeli strikes.
Right. Oh, you know, well,
really jogging my noggin here.
I know, right? I'm looking on YouTube. The only thing that I see is Israelis attacking Syrians. Maybe this is
Israeli sources say that just system, but.
Oh, here we got some video footage. Maybe I don't know. I need to fucking learn how to do the fucking OBS thing better. By the way, just random offside. What do you guys think of about the stream? Like, should we put some? I mean, I could get a webcam. Like, should we add some like dancing fucking GIF images or like what should we have?
Up, man. Make the stream look good.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about a webcam. I know that you'd rather remain anonymous, but my beautiful mug is all over the internet already, so I don't really give a shit.
I'll walk you through setting it up.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'll see about getting a webcam so that I can we can have some. I think we get more engagement with having my beautiful face on the stream. How did they do it?
Actually, I think we would get less engagement, but all right.
Wear the headset you do on your meditation videos.
Which one's that?
The one that you sing into, where you're teaching people to chant.
The headset that I'm.
The one I posted on Heaven, that video.
Yeah, the Bajan one. I had my phone like fucking connected to my my video stand. I don't think.
Yeah, you were wearing a headset on there. I think it worked well. Like it was aesthetic.
Oh, nice. It might have been one of the ones where I would like listen to a beat that I made and then like chant while I was recording. So how the fuck do I put media source? Got a media source. Israel. Let's call it Israel BTFO. Local file? No, it's not a local file. Input, YouTube format, I have no fucking idea. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. We'll figure it out later. Anyway, okay, so, again, what was your source that said that it was actually Syria that struck, Iran, or not Iran, but, Israel, and it was not the Al-Quds force?
It was the post by the Syrian army. It was like on their Facebook group or whatever, and it was like the Syrian army, and like and the same thing. I like showed pictures and everything of like them intercepting the missiles. So I mean, I could pull up a link really quickly.
The Syrian Arab Army Facebook page is so consistent in everything they report. I have no reason to doubt them. I mean, and plus I'm on their side, so I hope they win. I believe what they say.
Of course, of course. So it's probably just a bunch of bullshit. Then of course they want to blame. Well, you know, it's strange to me to hear that because they said that if the SAA, like ostensibly they're saying that if the SAA gets involved, then that's will be like the turning point when they'll turn into a full-scale war because they're ostensibly only interested in going after Iranian forces. And I know do you remember that faggot in fucking Outer Heaven that's from that he's in the IDF, Amsalam? He was like all like, oh, but you know, Iran is like building up right on our border. There's Hezbollah, there's Syria, they're in Syria, they're in Lebanon, and they're in you know, Iran is like building up on our border, and we have to do something about it. And I called him a faggot, and I said, if you get us involved in a war, I'm gonna personally go over there and skull fuck you in the face.
Yep. Yeah. So, what he doesn't realize is there's some of us that want to see this shit. Like, I want to see the fight between Iran and Israel. It
wouldn't be Iran and Israel. It would be America.
No, I mean without us. Like I'm saying what I want to see.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Naturally, they'd probably drag us in, but
yeah,
I'd like to see. Yeah, if that'd be interesting.
If they did fight each other, I have no doubt that Israel would probably win, just because they seem to have
nukes. They stole 80 nukes.
They have nukes. Yeah, they have nukes, and they have a better, you know, air force and more integrated, higher technological air force and stuff like the systems. So
they lack combat experience. I mean, I think it'd be
okay, but they also have like a fucking ton of nukes, so it doesn't matter. They would win a war with Iran, but it would be very bad. But that's what they want. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. I don't know what the fuck. Whether it's just like a big ploy. I mean, a part of me like wants like the old like Alex Jones like conspiracy part of me wants to just say like this is like rich people on both sides just hyping it up to make money. You know what I mean? But of course you have facts on the ground where no, that's not what's happening. It's literally people that want to fucking rip each other's throats out. Maybe it's a combination of the both. I don't know. Competing geopolitical interests between the PNAC world order and like the more like decentralized local power order that Russia seems to want. I think literally all of everything that I just said. I think literally everything. Also, the Jews plan to control the world. That too.
And you know that guy you mentioned in Outer Heaven.
Yeah,
like, okay, so he's like, they're building up on our border. It's like, well, then why don't you guys do something about the ISIS enclave that's been on your border since 2011?
Oh, they're doing plenty about it. They've given them lots of money.
Oh, and
Dude, check out this image I just posted. It lists the amount of times that Iran has been 6 months away from a nuke.
So they got a good shot at it then.
So they were 6 months away from a nuke in 1984. They were 6 months away from a nuke in 1992, then again in 1995, and then 1996, 98, 99, 2001, 02, 03, 06, 08, 09, 10, 11, and 13, and then most recently this year, apparently they're 6 months away from a nuke.
Yeah, I saw that whole like little archive bullshit that BB said that they had. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know, man.
His PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah,
is he going to be the new Glenn Beck? Like,
they definitely have
Netanyahu's
a
the new
nuke
Glenn
right
Beck.
now, so.
I don't think they do. I think what they have most likely is a nuke on loan from one of the Asian countries.
Probably.
I would imagine that they got it from China, maybe Russia, and it's basically their low key. There's no reason Iran would need to make nukes. It's a stupid argument because they're part of the Axis military alliance. Back when Russia and China in 2000 and I think it was 11, might be wrong on that. I remember watching it live anyways. They signed a treaty that was a military economic alignment treaty. And that's when you started to see them ramp up on the drills with Russia and China.
I think it was
at that time,
security exchange cooperation. It was like SCO or something like that.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah,
and that's when you started to see a ramp up on their naval exercises, but also you saw a ramp up on everything included in the BRIC alliance. Now BRIC isn't just Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. It also included in that is the greater ASEAN market and their subsidiaries and their partners. So as far as nukes go, I mean, Pakistan and Iran are both equally important to Russia and China. So if they want nukes, they have them, and the West will never know because they have the ability to deliver them with impunity at any time.
Okay, well, that's excellent analysis. I think just to segue off of what you said, I think that if we had Hillary, if we had even a Ted Cruz or a Marco Rubio, fucking that faggot, if we had anybody other than someone who was an unexpected Kwisatz Haderach meme lord like Trump, I think that we would have seen World War III already popping off because they don't want this multilateral mutual respect of nation states thing. They just want to have America serve like as the vehicle to to ride like a fucking donkey until they can get their globalist state. You know what I mean? That was like their plan. They didn't really say it in the PNAC thing, but that's what the Jews wanted to do. They wanted to ride America for all it's worth, and I believe that I read a Bibi Netanyahu quote recently that was from like the 90s that said that's what they were gonna do. And I think that was their plan. They're just gonna do to us like we did to the USSR, get us like overextended in military confrontations, which benefit Israel, and suck out our economy by these trade deals, which tend towards globalization. Suck out the national unity with SJW shit. Suck out the jobs through, like I already said that, through the trade deals and NAFTA and all that. Suck the life out of young people with fucking fluoride and soy and turning the frogs gay. Just in so many ways to subvert us and to dissipate that like kind of strength that America had as a nation state. And overextend us and just kind of like, let us wither away gradually, and then what will come after that would have been the global, the fulfillment of their prophecy of a bunch of like Goyim being slaves to the Jews. I honestly believe that. I think if anybody thinks that's being a little bit conspiracy tinfoil hat here, read the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. And oh god, it's just propaganda. No, read it. It really does say that shit. But we got Trump, and Trump is
Park though. Remember how they're talking about how they can't have dinosaurs? And I don't mean the movie. The book actually did a much better job because the book went more into the chaos theory aspect of it. But like even in the movie, when Jeff Goldblum says that life finds a way, he's referring to chaos theory, and in the book they go into a lot more depth on that. I think that is where a lot of these great grand master plans tend to die is in the details, and it has something to do with chaos theory. You know, you believe you have humanity pegged down and buckled down and just ready for this global order, and it's going to work because you bought off every boomer with real estate, and it's going to happen, and blah blah blah. You know, the plan will work. But it's like there's the chaos vector that always pops up out of nowhere with these grand take over the world schemes and all this shit. And, you know, it's almost like insanity to people that aren't looking at it through, I guess, open eyes.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to do, and to help that. And that's, I think, people, like, you know, bitch a lot that, oh, all you do is talk on the internet. Well, no, you know, this is creating an egregor. It's creating the means for people to take action, and they will take action in ways that they think is accordingly. So we are doing plenty. But I think that Trump is a wild variable, and I think he is like a chosen by these secret chiefs, chosen by like those people. The ascended masters to lead humanity towards a road which does not end in that dystopian future. If you don't understand what I'm talking about with secret chiefs, again, get your ass back to the beginning of our podcasts and start watching them, and you'll be woke as a motherfucker. Okay, second story from the Daily Stormer. Rebels surrender in Damascus, hand over massive stockpile of Israeli weapons. Surprising.
Imagine my shock.
Yes.
Imagine my shock.
Surprising literally no one who has been following this conflict, the SAA has found yet more proof of Israeli funding of terrorist groups against the Assad government. From Russia Today. Israeli-made landmines were found in a large trove of medium and heavy weapons handed over by rebels in southern Damascus, Syria state media reported. Damascus has repeatedly accused Tel Aviv of aiding militants. As the Syrian army is driving out the last remaining terrorists from the southern outskirts of Damascus, those refuted, by the way, when they were doing this, that's when we had the whole chemical dramas, because the SAA was blowing the fuck out of the ISIS pocket in Damascus. That's when the whole fucking the whole like little, you know, Trump fucking display of fucking dick waving happened. It did literally nothing except appease fucking the Jews. As the Syrian army is driving out the last remaining terrorists from the southern outskirts of Damascus, those who refuse to completely lay down their arms and surrender are being evacuated to rebel-controlled parts of northern Syria, mainly Idlib. God fucking Idlib needs to fall already. That's the last like chink in the armor before they can go back to normal. As part of the
bad. It's gonna be bad when they go there because it's super urban warfare in an already destroyed city.
Well, it needs to fucking end. It's
Yep.
they gotta, I don't even know what the rebels are thinking. Like, what are they gonna? They're just waiting for their fucking like, you know, Western fucking puppeteers to do something, but they're not gonna get it. As part of the deal with the Syrian authorities, militants are leaving behind medium and heavy weapons. Ahead of the evacuation in the towns of Yelda, Babil, and Bet Sahem, militants relinquished hundreds of weapons and munitions, including mortar launchers, machine guns, rocket and mortar shells, gunpowder, precursors for homemade explosives, as well as Israeli-made landmines. Sana, which posted a video of the armaments reported.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting. I could have sworn landmines were against the Geneva Convention.
Makes you think.
Really makes Grug do a big think.
Yeah, so that's just one little
I'll bet they didn't bring to wars, though. Bullpups are for fags. I don't think even the rebels would have bought those.
Bullpups lack aesthetic. I mean,
I don't know what's gayer, like going on a live stream and just like putting a, 20-inch in diameter dildo up your ass, or buying a bullpup. I'm on the fence which one would be gayer.
I think the bullpup, honestly.
Yeah, at least, you prove that you can take enough pain while also being a fag. But with a bullpup, there isn't the pain aspect. So it's like, you're just that gay without that. So I think it tips the scale in favor of bullpup being gayer than 20-inch in diameter dildos.
You're a swishy gay at that point. You're not like one of these bull gays.
Yeah. Anyway, we lost Jen Shakti. I messaged her on Facebook. I'm not sure whether she had to go for some reason or something, but we got through the esoteric stuff with her.
Age girls always disappear, man. They get the instinct, and they have to go do the emergency yoga.
I hope she comes back as a guest. She was really good.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's really cool. Yeah, she's able to banter back and forth and to hold her own and talk about this kind of stuff.
We have a Jordanian that'll talk to us about based Assad.
Yeah. Hey, you know, and also be able to talk. She made some good points about the type of topics that we hit, and like JF said, it is always good to have the female on because they give a human perspective that is not as autistic as if it was me and Mike Enoch talking about the ethnostate.
The problem is, though, I think with the females that we tend to find it, we just make it worse.
Oh, Jen's back online.
Good. My point was going to be that I don't think we decrease the autism with the feminine presence that we end up dragging in. Like if Boost ever comes back, it's going to be pretty crazy.
Hey, Jen. Boost is all over the place. Welcome back. Yeah, Boost is all over the place. She's fucking schizo, man. I don't know. She's welcome to come on, but she's just when you can like talk to her, that she's just, you know. By the way, Alex, can you fucking tell Kirk to not make her a fucking mod, please?
It's already been fixed.
Thank you, fucking Jesus. That was so fucking ridiculous.
I mean, I don't want to talk about outer heaven things, you know.
Yeah, no. Well,
on the podcast, but yeah, it's all right.
Oh yeah, by the way, everybody listening to the podcast is a really cool Discord server. Has some fun banter and stuff. I'll put a link to it. It's called Outer Heaven. It's a really nice Discord server. Don't come in if you're gay, but come in if you're a functioning heterosexual, and you're welcome.
If you're an incel though and you want to get a girlfriend, just mention Captain Kirk JT at the top. Just mention him or DM him.
Yeah.
Like he's really good at helping people out that need a pickup artist guidance but don't have the money for it. Captain Kirk's your guy.
Yeah, he's your guy. Everyone. A wild Jen appears.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, she had to do an emergency yoga.
Yeah, an emergency yoga session. Your volume's down a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to turn your volume up.
I got you at 200% and I can barely hear you. Alright, well, while you work on... Oh, yeah, that sounds a little bit louder. While you work on that, we were just saying that the SAA just found a bunch of Israeli weapons in Syrian rebel-held areas. Surprise, surprise. Imagine my shore.
And they found landmines, which are against the Geneva Convention.
Oh my goodness. It's almost like they've been throwing fucking...
I don't know, man. The boomers told me that Jews don't do bad things.
Right,
landmines sound pretty bad.
You know, Willie Pete. They've been throwing Willie Pete at fucking Arabs for a long time. You know, white phosphorus. So next point, I want to. That's a chemical weapon. I want to talk about the March of Return Gaza protest. So, Palestinian killed, 170 wounded in final March of Return Gaza protest. A lot of Palestinians have been marching on the border fences, getting into skirmishes with IDF soldiers, people getting shot. Palestinians have been throwing fucking rocks and grenades, launching flaming kites into Israeli territory. Israeli troops killed a Palestinian and wounded at least 170 protesters in the Gaza Strip Friday, Palestinian medical workers said, bringing to 44 the number killed during the 6-week protests at the Gaza-Israeli border, quote unquote. IDF troops are responding with riot dispersal methods and are firing in accordance with the rules of engagement. Bullshit. The IDF said in a statement, the IDF will not allow any harm to the security infrastructure or the security fence and will continue standing by its mission to defend and ensure the security of citizens of Israel and Israeli sovereignties as necessary. Interesting point. The kite bombs, as they have been dubbed, consist of a flaming rag that is attached to a kite with the capability of getting across the fence and igniting dry farm fields. In recent weeks, the Gazans have also attached Molotov cocktails to kites. Kites.
That's what I thought you said at first. I thought you said they launched flaming kites into Israel. I was like, what?
No, there's plenty.
I was imagining,
so metal.
like that Then you said it again. I heard, oh, kite.
Yeah, kite. No, there's already tons of flaming kites in Israel. They're in Tel Aviv.
Can you imagine like how metal that would be? Just like it's like they start making trebuchets, and then they're just like
launching flaming kites.
And if they're flaming, they'll say that with a lisp.
Oh, oy vey. So yeah, organizers of the protest dubbed the Great March of Return, said they expected tens of thousands of Gazans to the border encampment. So, you know, good on the fucking Arabs. I could really care less about either of them. Hope they all kill each other, and that's about my opinion on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the two-state or single-state. I'm just all I care about is us not intervening.
Yeah, it's not getting involved whatsoever.
Although my money is on Egypt in the long run, because China's money is on Egypt in the long run.
I don't know if you guys have heard about this. It's called an executive order reducing poverty in America by promoting opportunity and economic mobility. Have you heard about this? I read a news story about this, and it was a pastor saying that this is the most important executive order that Trump has signed that you have never heard of, probably because it's positive. Yeah, have you heard of it?
I don't think that... I don't think I've seen the full details on that one, but if it's what I think it is, it's going to be the one that basically forces states to provide vocational programs to students and like get them into actual jobs in an actual job market and get them in soon. Like this is going to be where they have like inner city areas having vocational programs to get them working on like phone lines, or this will be like in the countryside with vocational programs to get people into the lumber industry,
right?
Like an actual pathway to tangible paychecks.
Yeah, let me read the actual executive order. Section 2, Policy A. In 2017, the federal government spent more than $700 billion on low-income assistance. Since its inception, the welfare system has grown into a large bureaucracy that might be susceptible to measuring success by how many people are enrolled in a program rather than how many have moved from poverty to financial independence. This is not the type of system that was envisioned when welfare programs were instituted in this country. The federal government's role is to clear paths to self-sufficiency, reserving public assistance programs for those who are truly in need. The federal government should do everything within its authority to empower individuals by providing opportunities for work, including in investing in federal programs that are effective at moving people into the workforce and out of poverty. It must examine federal policies and programs to ensure that they are consistent with principles that are central to the American spirit: work, free enterprise, safeguarding human and economic resources. For those policies or programs that are not succeeding in those respects, it is our duty to either improve or eliminate them. Holy shit, I'm waving my MAGA hat. There's a fucking bald eagle flying over my head. I'm fucking in my monster truck listening to fucking country music and saying fucking MAGA. That's what the fucking country's about, man. This is what I've always wanted. Fuck all the fucking... This is him
delivering, man.
Yeah, fucking it. He's fucking been consistently delivering. This is what I've always talked about as my ideal system. I'm not against like this type of like socialism. I'm for it. I think but you have to use it in a way which is nationalist. It's like a national socialist kind of thing, right?
Yeah, what it is they're gonna get people prepped for private jobs that have specific demands. So they're not adding people onto the payroll of like nanny government. What they're doing is they're using taxpayer money to create more taxpayers.
Exactly.
That's just smart.
Yeah, and GDP. This is I've always said whenever people
actually, you know, this is better than GDP because GDP counts like alimony into the GDP. What this is the actual individual indexes. This is going to create taxpayers, not just the exchange of money. That's GDP. This is actually going to be moving people into a tax bracket before they were too low to be taxed. And this means that you have the cycle. So people will be able to pay into the system that's going to train more people for new jobs. You know, and with but this is what Trump was talking about last year and even during his campaign. I'm not surprised at all for this, but it is very good to hear that it happened.
Amazing.
I mean, on a midterm year, Holy shit.
Yeah, it would be nice if the fucking media would actually report on this shit so we could fucking have people like people realize that Trump isn't just a fucking orange Cheeto man who fucking hates everything, that he actually loves his country.
The media doesn't need to, man.
I mean, that's
Trump voters,
exactly what he is.
He won hands down without their help.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is the fact that they're not talking about this is going to bite him in the ass. What's going to happen is he's going to end up doing rallies for the different states, probably in August or something.
Yeah.
And during that time, he's going to be like, did you hear about this act that I passed?
Yeah, but he's going to. Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Let me read through a little bit of more points from Section 2. B. It shall be the policy of the federal government to reform the welfare system of the United States so that it empowers people in a manner that is consistent with applicable law and the following principles, which shall be known as the principles of economic mobility. As I'm reading this, I realize how huge this is, really. Or 1 in Roman numerals, improve employment outcomes and economic independence, including by strengthening existing work requirements for work-capable people and introducing new work requirements when legally permissible. Probably has to do with immigration or something. Number 2, promoting strong social networks as a way of sustainably escaping poverty, including through work and marriage. So he's like doing this thing of focusing on the fact that when you have a strong, stable family unit, that you tend to be less, in a social net, then you tend to be less dependent upon the government, of course, which is like totally undoing the entire, Marxist fucking shit that's been going on. 3, address the challenges of populations that may particularly struggle to find and maintain employment, including single parents, formerly incarcerated individuals, the homeless, substance abusers, individuals with disabilities, and disconnected youth. I'm all for that. I'm a Buddhist. I have a big heart. I care about people who are homeless, who have come upon hard times, people who are disabled, especially disconnected youth, like they say. I have a big heart for these kind of people, and I feel that it's great that we could have programs to if they're willing to and wanting to help improve themselves, if they lack the family infrastructure that would normally serve that niche. 4.
Well, it's true, man. If the pathway is easy, I've noticed most people that get in those ruts in life, like the spiraling, like if they manage to pull themselves up enough to get a job, usually if it's a good job, the first paycheck turns their life around, and then they're fixed.
Yeah, exactly, and
I've seen that almost every single time.
Yeah, I've been in a rut myself, and my first paycheck was pretty fucking nice. 4, balance flexibility and accountability to both ensure that the state, local, and tribal governments or their institution may tailor their public assistance programs to the unique needs of their community, and to ensure that welfare services and administrating agencies can be held accountable for achieving outcomes, including by designing and tracking measures that assess whether programs help people escape poverty. 5, reduce the bureaucracy and streamline services to promote the effective use of resources. Reserve benefits for people with low income and limited assets, reduce wasteful spending by consolidating or eliminating federal programs that are duplicate or ineffective, create a system by which the federal government remains updated on state, local, and tribal successes and failures, facilitates access to that information, and so that other states and localities can benefit from it, and empower the private sector as well as local communities to develop and apply locally based solutions to poverty. So what this sounds like to me is like this, the way that the bureaucracy is run, social benefits, welfare, whatever, has just been like this disconnected way of just like treating everything with big government, treating it all as one problem. But if you actually want to help people to get out of poverty and help them, you're not gonna just fucking put them on fucking the Democratic plantation of getting a check every month. You want to actually look at the problems in a community. You want to provide vocational training like Trump's going to do. You want to, change the way maybe work with education and maybe even companies to create an environment where young people or disadvantaged people who aren't able for some or whatever reason to get into to the system. And this seems to be something that does that. It's something that I've talked about for a long time when people ask me like about my political or economic, like how I actually think that things should be run. I consider myself to be like a technocrat and a nationalist, in that I feel that our economy should not just be like a laissez-faire globalist, cuck orgy of wage slavery. I feel that our economy should serve our people. And that to do that, you have to integrate government, economics, education, family. It all needs to communicate with one another to make sure that problems are being addressed, that resources are getting allocated properly, that people are getting the right training, education, etc. So I'm kind of a technocrat in that sense. National technocracy.
For sure. Another thing is, this is going to help the Republicans a lot, because here's what we have. The lines in the sand are already drawn. Nancy Pelosi this year said that they're going to fight to end all of Trump's new veteran benefits as much as they can.
Yeah, which is remove insanity.
I want to
in an election year. So that's where they stand.
I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran. I'm getting like a lot of help right
on public record. Just the ability to go to a private hospital. That's the DNC's platform. Same with let's ban all guns. Let's get rid of the Trump tax benefits. They said that this year also. They also said if we can't get rid of the tax benefits, let's make sure that we can tax half of them in Democrat states. That's also the DNC platform. And then now we have the Republicans. Let's create a sweeping voucher system to get people into vocational programs so that they can, actually take root in the economy rather than beg for handouts from the Democrats. Now, of course, the Democratic livestock is going to still be all for that. That's why they imported them here. But the problem is that this is going to end the Democratic hold in the Rust Belt, and this is also going to...
Inshallah.
Yeah, this is going to create a whole new paradigm of what the Republican Party is.
It's fascinating to me because, the Republican... death to the Republican Party, or the GOP is dead, long live the GOP. Trump eviscerated the GOP, and I think probably if Bernie had been able to do the same, if he was a little bit less like out of touch and he'd been able to tap into the egregore that Trump tapped into, I feel like Bernie probably would have done a similar thing with the DNC. By the way, let me just get this up real quick. I want everybody to hear that I paid $5 to make JF say egregor, so I'm gonna play for you guys.
Egregor.
Okay, I paid $5 for that little clip, by the way. Anyway,
that was worth it.
Totally worth it. Anyway, this is it feels a little fashy, to be honest, like in fashy in the sense of like you actually like let's use economics and let's use the government and let's use like social policies to actually uplift our people, people that want to be American nationalists, regardless of whether you're black or Mexican. If you're an illegal alien and you're not on the team, you need to go back. But in America, if we can keep the white people from being replaced, like I don't think that there's a problem with having a small minority of maybe 20% of people who are Asian or Mexican or black or whatever.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of ways that it could work. The good thing is that people are understanding why it doesn't work. And that's kind of the first step. And they understand that the weakness is in the democratic system itself.
Yeah. That
you have people that will always vote for larger government, no matter how intelligible your argument is as to why they shouldn't. It doesn't matter. But that understanding is being taken home finally. And they've accepted, it's almost like accepting mortality or accepting, your own weaknesses, or, if you're blind, accepting that you can't see. That's kind of the same sort of situation when it comes to that. And that understanding alone will allow people to come up with solutions. But when it comes to those that are nationalistic, and again, regardless of race, because we'll talk about the people on the right side of the bell curve here, however small it is in their case, there is a nationalist place for them. Now that is a power there needs to be something that keeps the white majority, because I'm not convinced that we'll have the Bill of Rights in any other way. But for the people that are sort of right of the bell curve, and, you know, what do you do with this? These out of place statistics. Well, Trump's creating the nationalist picture for them. And it's almost like the whole, I mean, it's not like Starship Troopers in the way that we have the two-part citizenship, although that would be ideal. But, you know, there's this idea that your country is here to help you get an actual living and make an actual mark on society. And of course, it's only the Republican Party doing this, and the Democrats want to take that all away from you. They want to take your guns. If you join the military, they want to make sure that you can't go to a real hospital. You know, you have this whole like landslide of sewage on their side, and then you have this bright idea of the future on the Republican side. This is a brilliant strategy.
Yeah, and like I said, the GOP and the left, I don't know, I don't care about the left. I don't really, they have their little like mind controlled retards.
Well, the GOP has changed.
Yeah, it's the Trump party. Yeah, it's the alt-right, it's the Trump party. It's going to be that, and it'll just continue to be that. But the left, they'll continue. I feel like this is again, we keep talking about the split between the timelines. The left is going with the old timeline where globalism and all that and fucking dystopia, and the right is actually interacting with a new a new way of looking at things to actually fix our problems. And we talked about it last week with Kanye West about overcoming your mental prisons, and leading to an actual golden age. And you know, all they have to say is "you racist." That's about all they have,
and that's great. You know, these terms, when the more they use them and the more hope they put in the power of these words, again, and it's like what we were talking about earlier, they stamp themselves on this impression of time that's fleeting, and eventually time is going to pass them. They'll be stuck in the paradigm they created where these words are valuable, and people will look at them like the relics they are.
Okay, well, with that, I think that just about wraps up the serious part of the show. I'm gonna touch on a couple little meme fucking things that I think are funny, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's see. One of them is we need to do something about the problem of senior citizens engaging in bullying. From AP in San Francisco, the unwanted were turned away from cafeteria tables. Fistfights broke out at a karaoke. Dances became breeding grounds for gossip and cruelty. It became clear that this place had a bullying problem on its hands. What many found surprising was that the perpetrators and victims alike were all senior citizens. Nursing homes, senior centers, and housing complexes for the elderly have introduced programs, training, and policies aimed at curing spates of bullying, an issue once thought the exclusive domain of the young. "Quote-unquote, there's a clique system just like everywhere else," said Betsy Gran, who until recently was assistant director at San Francisco's 30th Street Senior Center. "It's like Mean Girls, but everyone is 80.
Amazing.
Oh my god. Yeah, how are we gonna end the cliquishness and bullying in nursing homes? How are we gonna
Well, I'll take the Terrence McKenna, Joe Rogan answer. Give them all DMT.
Yeah, there you go. Someone's asking me in chat, where is Boost? Where is Boost? Where is Boost? I listen to techno also. I'm a techno head. You will lose a viewer if I don't find out where Boost is.
I don't know. I messaged her. She's missing.
Boost is the worst?
Yeah.
Boost is not the worst. She plays a really good ukulele.
She does play a good ukulele.
Yeah, plays ukulele.
Who was gonna sing the 14 words for us?
Larry Bird. I don't know who the fuck you are, but I don't know who you are. But Boost is on Discord. She probably is just not responding because like I don't want to throw her under the bus, but she kind of has like let's say she's eccentric. Let's just leave it at that.
But she's cool. She sang the Anne Frank fan fiction for us on a ukulele.
Oh god, I remember that. Oh my god, I want to. Okay, yes, she's great. But yeah, she's eccentric. So I don't know where Boost is. She's on She's on Discord, so you can try to orbit her on there anytime that you'd like. We have a question for IXI here from Damage Split. Is the Anticom podcast over?
The Anticom podcast belongs to Skirt, and Skirt is taking a hiatus on that. Maybe at some point in the future, I might do some of my own, but I was there, like, here as kind of a co-host, so...
Yeah, no, IXI is mine now. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, Skirt and Venus, that is theirs. Anticom is a completely decentralized movement. It's the opposite of, like, a top-down structure, like cult of leadership type thing. That's gone. If you want to do a podcast of it yourself, have at it. If you want to make any content yourself, have at it. It's as open as it can be, completely decentralized.
Right, and if any of our viewers have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the chat before we take off. We gladly answer them for you. But I would just like to say, IXI, I think that this podcast is Anticom people can do whatever they want if you'd like to do your own podcast, but I think that this is really important what we're doing here.
Yeah, let your fire guide you, because if you think you could do a better job, then you might be able to do a better job, and you should do it.
Yeah. Also, Jen, we would love to have you back as regular guest. Would you like to come on? We do it on Saturdays. Jen, are you sleeping?
For me, honestly. No, I'm not sleeping. I was able to charge my phone enough to put my headphones back in because I was trying to talk
is that what it was?
You guys couldn't hear me, so I just put my headphones back in. So, I mean, but yeah, I'd like join in this more. I like bullshitting and like talking with like, you know, just getting ideas out there. Shit's important, man. People need to fucking think.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm doing what I can to promote it, but I think we had a max of about 10 viewers, and we're down to about 3 right now. But when I upload it on my YouTube channel, especially if it's a good podcast, it gets anywhere from 200, 300 views. So that's just right now. That's before I get on fucking JF's stream and I make him fucking say a Gregor again. Then we'll get a lot more people on the stream. But yeah, we're working on it, and we would love to have you back. We have a question for Alex Jones. What do you think of Heat, starring Al Pacino and Robert De Niro?
The movie Heat?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good movie.
You've heard it here, folks. First, folks, it's a good movie.
Which Heat? With Al Pacino.
That is one of the best movies ever made. It is a timeless classic.
It's a good one. It's definitely one of those that it's a must-watch. Yep. If you want me to give like an in-depth, like how I feel about it.
When I was in high school, we would watch that movie literally 3 times a month. Loved that movie so much. But
I'm checking out a scene from it. I want to remember this.
So
I don't think I've seen it.
The thing about that movie, which is pretty cool, you know, because I was in the Marines, is that both of the main characters, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, their characters are both former Marines. And then if you see the ending, it's very touching. The ending's kind of touching.
You know, I've seen this movie. I remember it. I was watching some clips on YouTube. I just forgot the name. This is a good movie.
It's a very good movie.
I will have to check it out.
I watched it back in high school also, actually.
I'll have to check that out. Okay, back to the funny meme.
You've never seen it? You've never seen it?
I'll take a look at the video link later, but I don't specifically remember it. But it's one of those 90s movies that you've probably seen before, but I just don't specifically remember it. So, getting back to a meme topic that I wanted to go over. Where is my fucking link? Hold on one second, guys. Okay. Google Duplex. Following a widespread outcry over the ethical dilemmas raised by Google's new duplex system, which allows an artificial intelligence to mimic a human voice to make appointments, Google has clarified in a statement that the experimental system will have a disclosure built in, quote-unquote, that seems to mean that whatever eventual shape duplex takes on as a computer product will involve some kind of verbal announcement to the person on the other end that they are in fact talking to an AI. Well, I guess that passes the Turing test, right? If you don't know that you're talking to a fucking AI, then it's a fucking AI, right?
Wow. I'm all for it. that's going to really help waifu technology.
Yeah,
if the 2D waifus are
No, fuck you. Blade Runner fucking 2048 or whatever it is. That totally convinced me about AI waifus.
Jen's just mad because she's 3D and she's not part of the new egregor.
I'm like on like the 12th dimension, bro. Like I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
True. Yeah, you gotta give her that.
That is true.
Yeah.
Alt yoga definitely has that ability.
The alt. My friend, talking to my friend, do you know Zane on Facebook, Jen? Zane, like, number is like a Zane starts with an N.
That sounds faintly familiar, or like vaguely familiar, but
Zane,
I can't tell you anything about the guy.
Zane Newmanberg or something like that. I've talked to him a lot about this stuff. He calls it the alt. The alt, yeah.
The word alt is going to probably transcend from... Or originally, it had a meaning, not the party of Bush. Then it meant, like, literal conservative, including demographic conservative. Then it meant just Nazi. Straight up Nazi.
So now we're the alt, we're the alt singularity, we're the alt new age, and this is what's coming. As a member of the Secret Chiefs and of the Novus Illuminati, I'm telling you that this is coming soon. Yeah. Let's see.
Everything we do is alt now.
All right. Well,
Mandala.
I think the mandala, the big circle. So, if anybody has anything else that they'd like to add, or a comment or question from the audience, we can address that. If not, we will, I think, wrap it up. We've been about 2 hours and 40 minutes now. Props and thank you to the watchers who have been here for the whole stream. We love you. Smash that motherfucking like button.
Loves it.
Join the Discord. Right. Most importantly, join the Discord.
Yeah. I'll put a link. I'll put a link to Outer Heaven. I was gonna put a link to our boy fucking Calder C's Discord and his YouTube channel, but he stormed off like right off the bat. He got fucking triggered, dude. That was
he got bullied by Jen.
Yeah, Jen bully-sided
him. I did not do that.
You bullied a 13-year-old. You bullied a fucking 13-year-old.
I hope you feel real proud of yourself.
Yeah, really. The fuck is
wrong with you? I feel horrible, actually.
He showed me like a picture of his diary that he wrote after you bullied him, and it's like a picture of you beating him up.
You're bullying him now. Meanie. Oh, that's wrong.
Smithy Boy's gonna write a sad rap about you now.
I mean, I hope he gets money off of it, at least, if he writes a rap. If I hurt your feelings and you make a good rap and get yourself some record sales, it was worth it. There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk to him and get him back here. I had a couple talking points I wanted to talk to him about the situation going on in England, and I mean, he's 13, so he got, like, you know, you can't blame him for not being, like, emotionally developed.
It's growing pains. He'll come back stronger.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him and apologize and say, like, yo, dude, we didn't mean to hurt you, like, offend you or anything like that. Just like we're just
the main yoga instructor will be nicer next time.
It's just
I didn't mean to offend him. Was I like really a bitch?
No. He just like fucking had a total autistic fucking reaction to the word autism.
You can't bully a 13-year-old.
Those are bad words. You can't say those.
I don't even know why that was just the weirdest fucking thing. So,
it was the greatest intro ever to the show.
he probably was like getting upset, and his mom started yelling at him. And
it's possible.
We need to get BuzzFeed in on this. Alt-right yoga instructor bullies 13-year-old British kids.
You're not.
You bullied Oliver.
You bullied him pretty fucking hard.
Hit up Baked Alaska. Like, get him his BuzzFeed contact.
No, he tried to tell me what I could say, and I'm not going to be told by a child. Like, what I could say.
Oh, that's horrible. No, I'm gonna stick with the theory that he got swatted as soon as the MI5 found out that he was on our podcast. He's probably fucking in a fucking secret fucking prison somewhere in Poland right now.
He's getting eaten by the Queen right now.
he's in a reptilian bukkake dungeon right now.
Wow.
If he survives, then he needs to go find David Icke.
Yeah, if he survives, I'd love to have him back on. I think what probably happened, he's right. He was probably being too loud, and his mom fucking probably said, like, hey, go the fuck to bed, because he said that it was, like, really late there. Also, you bullied him, and he got really mad. So yeah.
And he's a child.
I didn't
know he was a child either.
I did not. Oh. I know you don't really know he's a child because he's like so like intelligent, but he's 13.
The explanation, man. I wish we could have heard it.
God,
like, Mom. I'm talking to some anonymous people. I don't know their names, but we're talking about the occult, knife laws, yoga, and
autism.
And yeah, I don't like the term autism.
I'm putting a block on Discord.
Oh my god.
That,
we don't have a license for Discord.
I'll talk to him.
You don't understand, Mom. You don't understand. Being a teenager.
What did I walk into? Yeah. What did you drag me into that I like?
This is great. No, we're just kidding.
This is what opening your alt chakras feels like.
Yes, this is the alt chakra pill. Take the alt chakra pill. We have a new guest that just joined. I think that you came here from Twitter. I apologize, but the stream has just ended. If you want to rewind it and watch it, you can feel free to do that. And we're just kind of bantering right now about how Jen bully-sided a young 13-year-old British twink.
I'm gonna bully-side you.
So hey, I got the closing song. Perfect. Closing
No. You got the closing song. What is it?
There's a song.
Closing song. It's called, I got it linked in Talking Points. It's
I don't think we could have topped last week, to be honest with you.
Oh, the Japanese one.
That was great.
The new age Japanese.
The new Japanese anthem.
Why don't we close it with the Assad song?
Yeah, we're gonna close it with an Assad song because fuck Israel.
Yeah, this is an Assad song.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. So yeah, you know what? Fuck Israel to death with a fucking nuclear fucking dildo. I hope they all fucking get genocided by Iran because they are the ones that are behind all of this globalist bullshit. And I want the alt new age to develop a singularity mind and become Ghost in the Shell with like yoga sessions. That would be great. So, if anybody has any other comments, we're going to put on the ending outro music and end this stream. Again, Jen, thank you for joining me, and IXI, Molan Labe, Alex Jones, we very much appreciate your contributions.
You don't appreciate me coming in.
I do, absolutely do. I do absolutely love it. I love it, especially because we got to get you to talk about the robotic AI fucking Pope and synchronicity. So I really do. You brought up a good topic, and it was esoteric minded, and we were able to extrapolate a little bit on it.
I didn't get to derail as much as I like to, though.
Yeah, no, you don't. I'm gonna keep you in check. I'm gonna keep you in check.
You'll take the chip soon.
So yeah,
I will not.
So yeah, if anybody listening is interested on being a guest of the podcast, we do it 6:00 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. ES time. On Discord. So you just have to like you can either leave a comment on the video when I upload it on my main channel.
He makes you do things off stream. Just saying.
Yeah. We don't talk about that. Okay, we don't talk about that. You guys, I appreciate that you have come on. Jen, I hope you will be a regular guest because, like I said earlier, we do need some female energy because it brings a human connotation that we would not normally have with us artists. So thank you for hanging out. And with that, I'm going to play the outro song given by Molan Labe.
Hold it down, Bud Mike.
يا وطننا يا غالي، تحت جناحه أنا متفيأ، أنا سوري يالي يالي. هي 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 هي. جاري الثورة هالأبطال الشمس التسطع ما بتنطال، جاري الثورة هالأبطال الشمس التسطع ما بتنطال. جبل فرنسا عبر حاله فدا العرب روحي ومالي. لالي 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 يا علمنا لالي بالعالي، غالي 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 اسمك يا وطننا يا غالي، تحت جناحه أنا متفيأ، أنا سوري يالي يالي. هي 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 صدوا فرنسا بالمقلاع وقالوا يا محتل اطلع، صدوا فرنسا بالمقلاع وقالوا يا محتل اطلع. بي وجدي قالوا اسمع اضرب الوطن عالروح غالي. لالي 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 يا علمنا لالي بالعالي، غالي 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 اسمك يا وطننا يا غالي، تحت جناحه أنا متفيأ، أنا سوري يالي يالي. كل العرب تنادي فيك يا أمل طاوي الله يحميك، كل العرب تنادي فيك يا أمل طاوي الله يحميك. كل أعياد العرب بقلبي ولسانك ما يبدالي. لالي 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 يا علمنا لالي بالعالي، غالي 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 اسمك يا وطننا يا غالي، تحت جناحه أنا متفيأ، أنا سوري يالي يالي. اسمع اسمع شمس بتسطع راية ترفع، فكرة بتلمع فكرة بتلمع لما وجهه يطل البالي.
لالي 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 يا علمنا لالي بالعالي، غالي 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 مصرك يا وطننا غالي، تحت جناحه بتفيا، أنا سوري يالي يالي.
أنا سوري أنا عربي، أنا سوري أنا عربي، أنا عربي يالي يالي.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.